wonder what they're gonna do about Helldivers 2.
You know, I don't know, but it got down to like a 26% on the Steam for the reviews.
Yeah.
So,
I really wish they wouldn't review bomb it that hard, because it's not the
yeah,
game's
it
fault.
really isn't the game's fault, but I can understand people not wanting to support a practice that makes it so that people who were buying it literally can't play it, you know?
Yeah.
Like, what else are you gonna do, you know?
Yeah.
There's nothing else that'll get to them unless you... No, there's nothing else that will actually get to them.
Yeah, no, there's nothing else.
And even
That's all you can do,
this,
and it
it's not
sucks.
gonna get to them probably, but
Oh, no, of course not.
you know.
Because, I mean, it's Sony. They don't care.
No, they do not care. No, they do not. Do that for when Aiden gets in. All right. I think that's everything set except for this. I need to relog into Twitter at some point with my new computer, but it's fine.
Oh, that's the chat. Oh.
Yeah, I don't need to.
Right, I don't need to be in the chat.
So there we go. Hello, Draco
Right.
Kraken. How are you doing? Yeah. All right. So that's that. This is going. It is live. We are swimming through the internet stream. Crazy that. I've been having some power outages today, which has been interesting. But
that's no good.
Yeah, but thankfully I have my battery backups, so it hasn't like done anything, which is great.
That's good.
Yeah. So hopefully it doesn't happen and actually like last for too long. If it does happen again today, we shall see. But
ooh,
yeah. What's up?
So you know you know how Steam does news and shit.
Yes.
Just like game news.
Yes.
There is a you know how you can rate up and down?
Yes.
It's at a 0.
Ooh.
It is at a 0 up. You can't see the downs.
Yep.
Because
Yep.
Yep. Not good. I'm just gonna look and see the reviews.
No, go for it.
I want to see if people
honestly
are being shitters and being
one
like,
of them,
game bad.
Right. One of them that I saw was, these are all the countries that PSN is not able to be used in, which I was like, oh that's very good.
God damn.
But yeah.
157,000 reviews in the last 30 days.
People give a shit about Helldivers too. It's great.
25% of them are positive.
Yeah. Alejo, how interested would you be in a really dumb name generator for TTRPGs if I were to make one? I'd be very interested. Absolutely, I would be.
Wow. That's a lot.
Yeah.
That's the first one?
Yes. The other one that I saw, which I was like, ooh, was, you guys let the Japanese decide your game thing. And I was like, Sony also has entertainment in America, my guy. Yes, it was originally, but, like, that doesn't, I hope you don't mean what you're saying here.
Yeah.
It's not good.
It's just coming from rage. Is that Asmongold?
Yes,
holy shit.
Oh, really? That makes sense.
Left one review, only 2 hours on record, but the name is Asmongold, so
maybe not. We'll see.
Probably not.
Well, welcome back to Table Talk, Discussion, and Discourse. I, as always, am your host, Alejo, aka Great on 95.
And sorry, I was reading.
You're absolutely fine. And
Yike.
Aiden will be joining us.
I'm just mourning. I'm hitting F over the corpse of Helldivers 2's review scores.
Oh yeah, for sure. For those of you who don't know, the PSN, a need to have a PSN login has finally gone through for Helldivers 2. It caught everybody off guard because it wasn't really advertised like in your face.
Yeah.
So, you know, once it happened, it made it so that many people who are in countries that cannot use PSN can't play the game anymore because it didn't have that before. So, it just... and
but
plus,
the problem is they were still selling it in those countries.
Exactly. Plus, like, nobody really cares to put their PSN account in for this game, because I mean, I didn't even know that Sony was affiliated with this game anywhere.
Yeah, obviously I guess they published it.
I guess.
Which is weird that Sony themselves would publish it.
I didn't even know that, though. I guess it's whatever at this point. But
yeah.
So everybody, understandably got upset. I'm upset for the scummy business practice of taking the money from people who were able to play it before and not allowing them basically to be able to play it anymore. That's my main concern, but the rest of it,
Yeah, the rest of it, the game is still what the game is,
yes.
And if you can have a PSN account, you're basically completely unaffected.
Yes, but even so, I probably won't play it for a little bit. Because
you haven't played it in fucking months.
That's also true, yeah. Hey, Pizza Funk. Sony should have left well enough alone. I heard a big lawsuit is coming because of it. The whole you now own a game you can't play. Good. It should.
And
like Sony fucked over so many people, so good. Anyway, today in the world of TTRPGs, we're going to be talking about the Mercer Effect again. And how it's a good thing, apparently.
Yeah, that's a little weird.
Right?
So I'm going to look and see when this video came out.
2 years ago,
just to see.
I believe.
Okay. That wasn't really the height of Mercer Effect scare, was it?
It was not, no. It's been a while since then. But yeah, I saw this in my feed, and I was like, huh, that's a different take.
Yeah.
Most people demonize the term Mercer Effect. Or Matt Mercer Effect, however you want to go with it. And this is brought to us by Super Geek Mike. So yeah, why the Matt Mercer Effect is a good thing for DMs and players. Now, what I assume it's gonna be going into is setting a higher standard, maybe, something to aspire to. Getting people to care a bit more. Just in general.
That's kind of the obvious way to take it. I can't actually think of another way to take it.
Exactly.
But who knows? We may get surprised.
Exactly. I was just thinking the human behaviors most irritating to me have their origin in clumsiness. Well, hello, Shin. That's fair. And hello, Timothy. Yeah, so interested to see if there's anything more to this than just good thing, maybe, that we've said. So here we go.
One of the goals on my channel is to break down the work of some of the most famous, the most popular dungeon masters who are visible out there on actual plays and podcasts like that. People who are praised for being the best, and break down exactly what it is they're doing so well, what makes their games so special. This way you can take some of their tricks and apply them to your own games if that's what you want. But what I don't want is for you to feel like you have to run your game like these dungeon masters would in order to be a good DM.
And right off the bat, great intro.
Yes,
absolutely fantastic intro. Thank you for this. I've already forgotten your name. Mike? Yes. Sorry. But no, absolutely.
Jesus Christ.
I know. Absolutely great intro to have for this. And I actually really enjoy the concept of you breaking down the good aspects for people to learn who might be newer and not necessarily recognize it right off the bat. But the Mercer Effect will cause my players to want to speak in accents, and Garibay told me that's wrong. That's right.
Yeah, it's true. Can't have that.
Can't have that. Is this guy saying the Mercer Effect is good or bad? He's going to be arguing that it's a good thing. So here we go.
And to that end, let's discuss the Matt Mercer Effect. For those who are not familiar with the term, the Matt Mercer Effect refers to the DM, the Dungeon Master, of Critical Role, which is the most popular D&D thing out there right now. Basically, the theory states that there are a bunch of new people coming into D&D after being fans of Critical Role, which is true, that is 100% happening, and that some of these people are going to regular games of D&D and then complaining that they are not enough like Critical Role for their liking. Right. They wish the DM at these tables was more like the DM of Critical Role, Matt Mercer, who has been dungeon mastering for like 2 decades. Now, I have no doubt that this is happening. I've heard too many stories about it to believe it's not happening. I've seen it discussed on Twitter and TikTok and YouTube and Reddit. I know that it is happening at some people's tables. And Matt Mercer has gone on the record about this. He has been asked about this before, and every time it comes up that he sees, he will comment and respond, and he will point out that it's not healthy to compare other people's games to his, because that's not the objective of Critical Role. He does not want people comparing themselves to him. He wants people to go play the game however they want to play it. So Matt Mercer...
it's nice that Matt himself is like, you don't need to idolize me like that, brother.
Yeah,
like,
don't do that.
He's very down to earth about this, and if he was different, he could just take this and run with it, and start a whole cult personality intentionally, and that would be
if he was
horrible.
a bastard, and he's not.
And he's not, which is great. So good.
Yeah. I mean, he even went on and said, I don't want you to do that. I want other DMs to be how they're going to be.
Exactly.
I want them to be their own DM.
Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with like adopting his style. As long as it's not you just doing it verbatim, basically, because you're going to have your own personality come through regardless. There's no way that you can keep up unless you're like great at being a mimic. There's no way that you can completely be Matt Mercer all the time and just think in the way that he does for everything.
Yeah, because you're not him.
Exactly.
So your brain does not work the same way.
Exactly.
As much as you might wish it did.
Yeah. Like all humans, Sony is too tall, too heavy, too strong, and too clumsy. Not much can be done about the first 3, but humans can work on their clumsiness. That's true. Using the wrong form of 2 is another example of clumsiness. Oh, I didn't even see that you did that. Yes. So is this like getting into chess after watching 2 grandmasters and then getting upset when the guys you play are not as good? Yes.
Yes, it is exactly that.
100%. Yes, you've grasped.
That's a good way to put it.
Yep.
Mercer is against it, and all these DMs don't like it, so case closed, right? No. At least I don't think so. Because the idea of the Matt Mercer effect kind of goes a step beyond just unfair comparisons to a DM who's at the top of his game. It blames Matt Mercer, and it blames Critical Role, and to a lesser extent, it blames the concept of actual play, or at least actual plays that have players who have a history of performance, and are therefore not realistic in representing normal D&D games. It blames these things for setting up unrealistic expectations for what D&D games are like in the real world.
That's true. I didn't actually think about that before. That it's literally the entirety of the genre of actual plays is kind of being blamed. Like, and like being held as like a bad thing. Because of
the concept of actual plays is being blamed for the Mercer effect.
The Mercer effect is a crystallization of blaming actual plays for setting these higher expectations that people are running with, right?
Yeah,
I didn't actually think about that.
That never really occurred to me.
Well,
because I guess because whenever you hear about it, they are always the example. It's never any of the others. It's either them or Dimension 20 now.
Right.
But Dimension 20 came after them.
Exactly. And like I get it. I get it, and I understand that it could do that for people in general, just because, people want to emulate what they see because it's really good stuff that they're seeing, right? Mm-hmm. But it's not, it's not as talked about because it's not as much in the limelight, because Mercer is the figurehead, the one running everything. But it is to an extent like, you've got this whole cast of voice actors who also do characters really well, and so you're setting this expectation that you want your players to also be like that. The Mercer effect kind of does butterfly into all of this other stuff because it's all a part of Critical Role. So really, I mean, it would be the Critical Role effect, Yeah,
it's honestly that.
But it's just interesting, and it sucks. It's unfortunate. I wish. It's basically the same as the Grandmaster thing, or like you look at a sports game of like a baseball game, and you're like, everybody on my team, in my high school baseball team, needs to be as good as that guy who's playing professionally, you know?
Yeah.
So,
And that is the part that I disagree with the most. Because I think it betrays a larger assumption that the folks who are complaining are often making, which is the idea that every table is a perfect match for anyone who's interested in D&D. Or maybe even less broad than that, just the idea that your game, that your table is the right fit for anyone else who likes D&D. Because they're implying that these actual play games are setting people on this wrong trajectory. That what these fans want after seeing actual play isn't normal D&D or real D&D.
yeah, I hope that all of you who've watched Devils and Dice just expect that every game is going to be like that now. Like,
yeah, every single game of D&D is going to be like super duper cringe and anime, and like with basically no writing.
Exactly.
Without like no writing other than like base details.
Yeah. So,
because that way I want you to think that, so that way I can blow your fucking brains out with the campaign that I'm actually really truly writing.
Yeah, there you go. I don't know about you guys, but I go to D&D so I can learn about German tanks. There you go. That's right.
Hell yeah.
Panzer.
I'll try to stop using air quotes so much, but they apply a lot in this video. Now, I will fully acknowledge, and it has to be stated, Critical Role goes deep in the paint on role-playing, far more so than many tables that you will encounter out there in the world. That's true. But they also are pretty invested in the tactical side of play as well. They play on very detailed maps, and their positioning matters a lot. This is why they have something in the neighborhood of thousands of dollars of Dwarven Forge terrain, which they are either getting for free or for some sort of exchange of promotional opportunities. It is unrealistic to assume that most TMs will have access to that kind of terrain, let alone have that much of it. Dwarven Forge isn't cheap. And yes, it is also unrealistic to assume that most DMs and most groups will have as much voice acting as the cast of Critical Role, because they are voice actors. Everyone at that table is a professional voice actor. But I also take umbrage with the idea that what they're playing is unrealistic to D&D, because I've played at a lot of tables like that. Granted, a lot of those players did come from the entertainment industry, and that is where I met a lot of the people that I played D&D with, but not all of them. And there is a way to pitch your game in advance so people know what to expect from your table, even if you don't run your game like Matthew Mercer, because you don't have to run your game like Matthew Mercer. But if you are clear with your players in advance about the tone of the game and about your style, I find that you probably will not have that same reaction from players.
Okay, good. Yes, absolutely. If you set the clear expectations of your game beforehand, you will absolutely avoid so many pitfalls.
Yeah.
Like, as we've said many a time, clear and honest, open communication will get you very far in this hobby, so that you can just run with anything. Like it's insane that this is even a problem. Though I want to point out, Draco Kraken said, in truth, how many people that complain about the Mercer Effect have actually experienced it? Like, the ones that complain that the DM isn't Mercer has to be a vast minority.
Absolutely.
That's the thing, yeah. It's just a very vocal one, you know? And it's one of the it's the same thing. This story gets propagated a lot because you've got the figureheads that need to talk about it, because one, it's Matthew Mercer, so it's gonna get people to look, right? And two,
clicks. Algorithm.
That's right. And two, it's something that is a negative that you can kind of exploit, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and not to be the cynical one that's looking at it like that, but that's what it is.
Yeah, no, it's what it is. It's what happens. It's common.
It really is. And like, hell, we did it for the first episode of this podcast.
So, like, yeah. And I mean, hell, if you want any proof that we will go for the clicks, we did 3 fucking episodes on nothing but shitty fucking Space Marines that none of us like.
I mean, I like Space Marines. It's just, you know, it's one of those things that we just started there. It was more just because we were starting there and get them out of the way.
Yeah. Well, I mean, also the fact that you'll get the normies in. quickly.
I didn't even think of it, honestly. It was never in my mind.
I told you that, and you're like, oh yeah.
I did, yeah. Well, regardless, I forgot because I only knew suffering and pain.
Except for those like very few like S and A tier S and A tier models.
Yeah.
God,
Exactly.
It's just so samey. Anyway.
Yeah. So, but it's also like it wasn't also just to do it for the sake of them coming to it, because we also just like 40K.
It's true.
So
yeah,
it's all those 40K normies. Yeah, exactly. Right. Like that's a weird.
Well, I mean, the thing is,
I mean, it's more for the. I guess if you don't know anything about 40K. Then you would be considered.
That you see is Space Marines.
Yeah, then you would be considered a normie, but that's not who I would be talking to, really.
Yeah, it's fair.
I don't know. But yeah, so this Mercer Effect thing is quite a I feel like it's blown out of proportion a lot. And like the propagation to this point. Like, even us talking about it right now, we're not helping the problem. But it is a thing that it does need to be talked about to an extent, but I don't think that Matt Mercer being the figurehead of this whole thing is really like, yes, he technically is because of Critical Role and they're making D&D popular to everybody. So I guess it will stick forever in that way. But I feel like maybe moving it to the Critical Role effect might be better. Just in general.
I doubt you'll be able to convince the internet of that.
No. What is better and what will happen are two different things.
Oh yeah, but yeah, that would be the better way to put it. Yes. Even saying that, we'll probably still wind up referring to it as the Mercer Effect, just because it's stuck for so long.
Yeah, it's the colloquial term. So
yeah,
that's just how it's gonna go. Come on, Little League kid, start hitting home runs like Babe Ruth. Damn it, that's right.
Yes.
Sounded like a flex. I play D&D with famous people. I know he didn't mean it, but it just sounded funny. Yeah, well, let's be real. The 40K normies were too mad about female custodies to watch your video. Yeah, that's true.
That's very true.
That's true.
The DM, I have been in plenty of situations where I should be getting the Matt Mercer effect, but I don't. This is not because I don't play with people who watch Critical Role. I play with a lot of people who watch Critical Role. It's very popular. It's possibly because my game vaguely resembles some aspects of an actual play show. At least it's similar enough that it can scratch that itch for some players. But I don't think that's the case. At least I don't think that's the whole truth. I think it's because I'm just getting better at communicating the tone of my games in advance. So when people know what to expect, they don't make those comparisons to other DMs.
Well, I also think that, I mean, I don't know how long this guy has been playing, right? And been DMing, but I feel like experience is also a big factor here, right? I feel like newer people who were just brought in are the ones who are going to be more likely to complain about the effect than people who have been doing it for so long and just kind of keep doing it, because it's like you and I who have seen Critical Role, neither of us have gone and said to the other, "Oh, fuck you, you don't make voices like Matt Mercer." Obviously we have as jokes, but
yeah.
But I mean, like for real, nobody, none of us.
We're not
have
serious
done
about that.
Yeah,
of course not.
Because that just seems
we all
ridiculous.
have our own ranges, and then it's not an issue.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not there to, and like, yeah, we've made it into a show to like play games together and stuff, but like I've never thought about it as more than just, this is still just a fun thing to do with my friends.
Yeah, that was all that. Even at the very beginning, this is something that I don't know if I've ever actually said during a podcast. But when we first started doing Devils and Dice, I made it clear to everybody that I wanted it to be something where it's not really considered like, oh, we're recording.
Right.
There's not going to be any looking at chat, even though we do it live now.
No, we don't.
Oh, we don't?
No.
Oh, I thought we still did.
No.
Well, there was never we don't refer to like viewers or anything like that. Right. whenever we say like, oh man, all the people watching, and then we always come back with, who the hell are you talking about? It's just us.
Right.
It was always meant to be just the thing where we treat it exactly the same as if we were playing, like, hell, if we were playing in person.
Yeah. But I think even from the beginning, we were never going to be that way, you know?
Oh, I know.
So
But I wanted to put that out there and, like, make sure that was well established and communicated beforehand, just on the off chance.
Oh, yeah, I get you. Absolutely. But yeah, so it's just one of those things where, I don't know. Because even for Critical Role, I feel like they still see it more as just a bunch of people having fun than it is a show. Like, yeah, they have the show aspects, but in the moment, who gives a fuck, you know, that it's a show?
Yeah.
The only thing they need to do is worry about their time. And even then, that's the same as if you're playing a regular game.
Yeah, pretty much.
So
they're lucky in that they effectively don't really have to worry about that so much because, you know, their regular jobs are talking.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, they don't get the what the fuck? Sorry. You know, they don't really need to worry about, you know, going to a work that has a lot of physical labor and just makes you fucking wiped the hell out.
Yeah. And the other thing, the one of the benefits of doing it live as well that I've thought about for maybe even doing it for the vampire one is just some people just know rules better. So it's one of those things that, you know, somebody could chime in with that, or you could set up something, because I've seen it in other actual plays where they've set up things for like people to be more interactive with their chats, right? Even when they're doing an actual play, just to help out with, like, just to make it feel like a thing.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I've thought about that for our stuff as well, but I don't know if I'm gonna implement any of that just yet. More than just what I've already done with the whole, hey, if you're a table flipper, you can name a thing if you want. And tell me about
you can be in the campaign.
Basically, yeah.
Effectively.
So yeah, I don't know. It's one of those things.
Yeah.
Also, if you're mad that the game you're in isn't like Critical Role enough, maybe your performance is lacking and not the DM. Ooh. There you go. It could be. Yeah. Excuse me. I can't believe people would think every D&D player would be like Mercer. Well, that's the thing. Again, like we've said, it's a minority of people. It has to be, because this is not, like, it seems bigger than it is, you know? Especially
that it's the same thing like you were saying before, where, you know, you'll have an inexperienced player see, you know, the best D&D game like available to just watch, and then you're like, whoa, is that what D&D's like? And then you get a group together and it's not like that.
Yeah, exactly. And it's really, it just comes down to inexperience at that point, because it's like the impressionable peoples.
Honestly, once you've got either a game or a few sessions under your belt, you kind of know what to expect, as long as you're a reasonable person.
Yes.
So,
what you have to understand is that the average human you've seen is smarter than half of all humans. Yeah.
This is something you can do with a session 0. Or even before the session 0, when you first invite people to play with you. This will be the subject of another video, but a session 0 is about more than just establishing boundaries, or at least it can be. It's a great opportunity to sell your players on the campaign premise, to give them any relevant information about the campaign setting and world, and yes, to let them know your style as a DM. We don't want to hear this, as dungeon masters or as players, but not everyone belongs at every table. Not everybody who enjoys D&D will enjoy your games. Not every game you want to run will be right for the people you normally play for, let alone people who are new to your table or new to the hobby. And I think it's okay for new players to say, this is the experience I want from my games, and for DMs to simply say, that is not what I'm trying to achieve, and for both parties to say, okay, then that means that this is not the right fit.
What an absolutely amazingly rational take that should be out there way more.
Very based.
Thank you so much, Mike. Absolutely, I agree with you 100%. People aren't going to like the same things. Absolutely. The group that I was gonna get together for before the show on Saturdays, we never were able to.
Oh, shame.
It's just it's been a fucking week, weeks for many people. But at the end of the day, it was going to be something to like introduce these people that have never played, and if they didn't like it, I'd just be like, all right, yeah, that's cool. If you don't want to do this anymore, then that's totally fine, you know? Because everybody should understand that not everything is for everyone. And you don't need to force yourself to like it either.
Yeah.
You know, because it's just gonna make it so that it's a bad time for everybody.
Not to mention, it's a massive fucking time investment.
It is. Hello, JR Sonic. What's up? I've never even seen Critical Role or anything like that. Devils and Dice is the first actual game I watched. I got into D&D from videos like talking about monsters and lore. Yeah, that's the other thing.
Christ, I'm so sorry.
Hope you're enjoying it. But yeah.
And hey, now you don't have to wait a million years for the ending because it's already done.
That's right. Yeah, I just, it's one of those things. This should be propagated a hell of a lot more. This take. Fucking blow this video up, please. This video is awesome.
If they like Critical Role and they're not enjoying your game, it might not be because you can't do the voices. It could be for other reasons as well. Maybe they just wish your game focused on different aspects of play. But it's no one's fault if someone is not the right fit for your campaign, or if the DM is not running the right game for you. It is also not Matthew Mercer's fault if he showed these players a version of D&D that they might enjoy.
Yes.
Let me put it another way. Star Wars. Wait, don't go to the comments yet, I promise. You'll have plenty to comment about by the end of this video, don't worry about it. The original Star Wars trilogy is not perfect. It is rough and cheesy and cheap and full of tropes. It is not for everyone. But it was a shot in the arm for the sci-fi fantasy genre. It made a lot of people excited about genre films. It gave the genre legitimacy. Some people who watch Star Wars then might go check out more in that genre and find Star Trek. Maybe expecting the same thing they got out of Star Wars.
Oh, interesting. It's been a while since I've heard of the Star Wars versus Star Trek fucking thing that used to be a thing of, are you a Star Wars fan or a Trekkie? You know?
Yeah, you can only be one. You can't like both.
That was one of those things that I remember back in the day. I hadn't liked either at the time because I hadn't watched Star Trek yet, and I had watched Star Wars, and I was like, this is fine.
And then you watched Star Trek and like, whoa.
I was like, this is more for me. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
You know?
It's pretty fucking great.
It's pretty great.
Which, of course, they would not get. They are very different. Those two franchises, those two brands have very different tones and ultimately different audiences.
Yes.
And it can be tempting, and I've seen it before, to blame Star Wars for people not enjoying Star Trek because they have the wrong expectations. They're going into it from the wrong mindset.
It is one
but
of
if
the
not for Star Wars, they may not have even given Star Trek a chance and see if they liked it. At least they checked it out. At least they were then able to determine, oh, this is not for me. Star Trek is not my thing. I much prefer Star Wars. If your game is Star Trek and Critical Role is Star Wars, which is a admittedly very imperfect comparison for lots of reasons, but the point I'm trying to make is someone can be a fan of one and want to seek out more of that, but not be the right fit or the right demographic for the other. But let's take a minute and let's acknowledge what DMs are upset about when they complain about the Matt Mercer Effect. Because they are, as Dungeon Masters, being compared to someone who has been doing this for 20 years. And that can be frustrating. But I think Critical Role should be inspirational, not intimidating. That's the whole point of my channel. I'm going to look at these people's shows and look at these great games and try to figure out what we can steal from them and what works about them. Because I don't like it when we just say, so-and-so is a genius, no one can do what they do. Yeah, you can. You probably, actually, you can. Matt Mercer listens to his players and he honors their choices. That's what he does well in his D&D games. Everything else people like about Critical Role comes from the interaction of the cast, and that just comes from the fact that they've been playing together for like years. So by now he just understands what they like. Obviously Matt Mercer is an extremely skilled DM. He's been doing it for decades. And Critical Role is where he's at his finest because he's been playing with these people for almost a decade, and they've been playing on stream for 4 hours a week for like 7 years. And he's got footage of those games. If he wants to, he can go back and rewatch them. He can find out what he did wrong.
That is very helpful, yes.
Or what he did right. He can watch the cast and figure out when they stopped paying attention, when he lost their focus, when he lost their trust. He is in a position that most of us are not in. But he also has a very specific style. And we can see that style when we watch other actual play footage of him around the internet. And not all of it is of the same quality as Critical Role. Nothing against him as a DM, but sometimes his style is not the right fit for the table or for the players that he's been matched with for these videos.
It's true. It's very true. There are some times where I've watched other games that he's done, and I've been like, well.
Really?
Yeah, just because some people don't really gel as easily, I guess, and it's also the inexperience that I've seen with some people, because he does a lot for a lot of newer famous people, you know, like in the sense of newer to the game,
New players who are still famous.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you had to like, this was like a promotional thing or something, and so you know, but like it's not, you know, it's never that bad. It's literally just, this person has never played, but this is for a promotional thing, so they're trying to like get it. And I appreciate that, because they're not, you know, like I said, they're not bad. It's just one of those things of like, when you have that caliber next to the caliber of Matt Mercer, it's very noticeable, you know?
Yeah.
I too am old, Alejo. Yes, that's right. Old enough to remember those times. Star Wars versus Star Trek.
Yeah.
And now you can't really like either. That's right, Pizza Funk. That's true. Aren't you? What's the meme? Aren't you happy that you're watching all of your childhood favorites go up in flames? Yes.
Yeah. And you know, the problem
meme.
is, the worst part is that no new favorites are being made.
Not really. No. It's sad.
Yeah. Very sad.
Mark Hamill found his true calling as a voice actor. He really did. He's a great voice actor. Yeah.
Yep.
Good
shit.
I wish I was a Battlestar Galactica fan so I could brag about being a Battlestar Galactica fan right now. I still have to watch that. I started watching Stargate a while back. It's okay. And by Battlestar Galactica, what I actually meant to say was Babylon 5. That's the other one that I want to watch. I'm aware that this has been another example of clumsiness. There you go. But yeah, it's being compared to Mercer being the biggest thing. Again, how many people? You know? I wish there was a metric that we could kind of actually find, because it's impossible. But like, I wish that I could see exactly how many people do actually complain about this, or have complained about this, and seen the diminishment of that, you know?
Yeah.
Because at this point, we're over 7 years in, probably 9 at this point, of Critical Role.
Man.
And yeah, the only people that are going to be introduced to it who might act this way now are children. And like,
yeah,
even them, I'm like, well, we're in this culture now where people are playing D&D a lot, so even a lot of them I don't even feel like are going to be that bad. So Stargate is fun. Yes, Stargate is fun.
For example, if you watch the Force Grey Lost City of Omu game on the Wizards of the Coast channel, you'll see that it's kind of a pretty average game of D&D. To be completely honest, it's pretty unremarkable. You or I could run that game pretty easily. Now, I don't mean to minimize his skill. He's clearly employing all of his skills in that game, but the style just didn't mesh with the players to become anything more than the sum of its parts. So not only is not every D&D game like Critical Role, not every game that Matt Mercer runs is like Critical Role, but there are still things that he does well that we can see, that we can witness and observe, and that we can then apply to our own games if we so choose. Just by doing what he does best, listening to his players and honoring their choices. The other tricks, the other skills he has, those are things you can learn as you go. Again, channel. That's the whole point of it. That's what I'm here to do. And this is why, like I said, I think we need to rephrase the way that we think about dungeon mastering. Because there is a difference between skill and style. I would argue that if your skill level is extremely high, but people are still complaining that it's not enough like Critical Role, it's because of the style of your games, not the skill, not how confident or capable you are at running a game of D&D. Let's assume for a minute that you are a dungeon master. That's how it works. You're a dungeon master now because you watch this channel. I don't make the rules. So let's assume for a minute that you're a dungeon master.
It is that easy. It really is.
Yeah. It's easy to get into. Very hard to get out of.
Exactly.
Running the game you want to run. You're happy with the level of role-playing, you're happy with the tactics and the in-game politics, and there is nothing significant, nothing major that you wish you could be doing differently. This may not be true for you, but let's assume it is for a moment, just for the sake of argument.
Assume happiness. Okay.
Yeah. That's a fucking tall order, but I'll try.
If you're running the game you want to run, and you're using all of the tricks that you want to use, and someone says, I wish your game was more like Critical Role, or more like Matt Mercer's, they're just saying, without realizing it, that they are probably not the right fit for your table. You are not running the same kind of D&D that they want to play in. Now, that may only be true of some of your campaigns and not others. You as a DM should not feel like all of your campaigns have to have the same style. You as a DM should not feel like all of your games have to have the same amount of tactics, the same amount of role-playing, the same level of description of violence, the same lines and veils. All of that stuff depends on your players and on your group, and on the story that you're trying to tell in that particular campaign. But there are some aspects of your style that might remain consistent, because we all try to run D&D in the way that makes the most sense to us. Those aspects of your style, that way that you interpret DMing, that's what we're talking about today. That's what I mean when I describe your style. So again, if you'll pardon another belabored analogy, let me put it this way. And this is, of course, something far more understandable, far more universal than Star Wars and Star Trek. Billy Joel is an extremely accomplished musician and songwriter.
Yes.
He's one of the highest selling single artists in music history. And his live shows bring in hundreds of thousands of fans. But he's also not to everyone's taste. And not everyone who plays music does it like Billy Joel. I know, shocking. If someone went to Nirvana at their height and said, you don't play music like Billy Joel does, then they could just say, yeah. The logical conclusion is not that Nirvana is bad at music. It's that if you're looking for Billy Joel, Nirvana is not the right place for you to look for the music. This is not who you're looking for. I know I'm belaboring the point, but it's because I keep seeing this argument pop up in a way that I think is deeply flawed. So
Interesting. He keeps saying it pop up.
Yeah.
Now,
this was 2 years ago.
It was 2 years ago, but even so, it's one of those things that I want to know where this argument is being had. I want to know.
Now, the other thing is that if you were to make this video, you would probably look it up.
Oh, for sure.
To get some more, you'd look up the phenomenon to see what people are saying and base your argument off of that data.
Absolutely.
So he probably just went and looked it up. And if you just look up Matt Mercer Effect, you'll get pointed to all the times it gets said.
Yeah, for sure.
So it will still wind up being, you're still looking at a minority, but Google blows it up to look like it is a big thing.
Yeah, that's very true.
I imagine that's what happened. Not to say that research method is wrong.
No.
But it's just the nature of the internet.
Right. But to a degree, I wonder about how often he's seen it before this, like coming up with the concept of making the video, because
I don't know
if it was sparked from seeing it so much, that would be interesting as opposed to having the idea and looking for it,
Yeah.
So it's just one of those things where I would love to have that, because again, I want to know where to look, because even though I'm not one to go on Twitter and look for things, because Twitter's a cesspool and I don't use it.
You mean the Ministry of Truth?
That's right. But somewhere like that, and having your algorithm in such a way that you see all of that, I don't know how people I suppose Mike himself, so from his rational take and his incredibly good points in this video, I don't see how he could find his way and meander into that,
Yeah, it's
one of those things, right? So it's I want to know more about the creation of this video, I guess. Anyway, that's a whole side thing.
Yeah.
Space Dandy is my favorite show about space. There you go, Timothy.
Nice.
Though as far as new favorites being made, I do have Frieren.
Oh yeah, Frieren. Yeah,
Frieren.
that's true. Anime has escaped that. For the
Oh
most
yeah,
part.
yeah. Anime does.
Yeah, because
sure.
anime still remains creative because it is
Yes.
like the mangas and stuff are written by a person, not
Yes.
by a committee.
Yes. Very
Whereas
true.
movies and TV shows in America are made by committee.
Yeah, a lot of the time.
They need to need to appeal to the most people. So
Yes.
they are both huge risks because they spend an insane amount of money on them,
Yes.
and yet they make them so bland that they are still boring hilariously.
And it used to not be that way, even with the same committees. So,
Yep.
I don't. Anyway, there's a lot. There's a lot of factors. Let's be fair. There's a lot of factors.
Yeah.
Anyway, wait, was this channel the calling Garibay was talking about? Has the mantle of DM been thrust upon me? Yes. Get ready for the broken mental glass.
Yes.
True, lots of new favorites get made. It just depends on who is watching. Yeah, that's the other thing.
That's true.
You always got to remember that, like, whatever comes out, that's someone's favorite thing. It might not be a lasting favorite, but it might also be their lasting favorite. You never know.
Rip to the people whose first Pokemon was Scarlet and Violet.
Yeah.
Like, my God.
Yeah, for sure.
So sad.
I noticed that Siri and Fear that anime, I don't know how to pronounce things, I'm sorry. Has yellow eyes like Viridi, so that's nice.
No,
that's good. Oh, Saria. Sorry. Saria. That's how you pronounce it, or something close. Okay. Until I hear it, I won't know.
It's Serie.
Yes.
Serie.
Serie. There you go.
Often people conflate Matt Mercer being a good DM with his specific style. So too often people complain about the Matt Mercer effect by saying, everyone else is just running an average game of D&D. He's running the best or one of the best, so it's unfair to compare them. Even people who don't like Matt Mercer as a DM will still acknowledge that he is very good at his job. But again, it's his job. And again, he's been doing it for a long time. And again, his skill level is achievable. Hello, it's Editing Mike. This video is a pretty broad topic. There's a lot to cover, and it keeps being talked about on Twitter, so I keep seeing...
there we go! Twitter! Okay.
Ministry of Truth. Okay.
I'm sorry that you've been forced into the cesspool. I understand now. Okay.
Yep.
More arguments come up that I want to incorporate, but there's just one more that I see pop up a lot that I wanted to add into the video.
Okay.
A lot of the time, I will see people say that Matt is the best DM because of the equipment he uses. Now, this is one of those responses I see from people who are disliking the Matt Mercer effect. They don't like the impact it has, and they're trying to put down the relevance. It's another example of, well, Critical Role isn't real D&D. The only reason people are trying to replicate it is because of the equipment. That's the only reason that people think it's good. But Mike Shea, who runs the Sly Flourish channel and brand, ran an informal poll on Twitter. He asked people to rate their last game, the last game that they ran, from 1 to 10, and then rate how good it would have been if they'd done that game on the set of the new Critical Role campaign.
Interesting.
And if they'd had all the minis and all the Dwarven Forge terrain. Now again, this is an informal poll, and the pollsters are people who follow him on Twitter.
Right.
And his whole brand is the Lazy DM, so there's maybe some confirmation bias here. He's admitted to that. But the general verdict was that it would go up by like 1 point. If you ran a game that you felt was like a 5, and you'd done it on that set, it would maybe bring it up to a 6. I encourage you, if you are someone who believes that the reason Matt Mercer is perceived as a good DM is because of his equipment, to ask yourself that same question. Would that equipment give your game any level of enhancement beyond 1 or maybe 2 points?
So I have to, I know I've already said that I really appreciate this video, but I really appreciate this video. Like a lot. Like this is so good.
It's very based.
Like legitimately, I know that this guy cares about this content for many reasons. One, he's done his research. You can tell. 2, he's edited in this portion just so that he can bring up another point to it.
That came up like after the fact.
After the fact. And I always appreciate that because it's a relevant point, as well as it's something that should be included. And it also brings this topic up that I would like to talk about a little bit, but this channel, Super Geek Mike, fucking A+, fucking S tier, honestly. Like, I'm loving this video, like, so much. Anyway, the equipment argument is strange.
It's stupid.
I don't understand how one could look at that and go, because you have this fancy big table, that lovely DM screen, the lovely bunch of Dwarven Forge, that your game is so much better. Visually, it would be more interesting.
Sure.
Just because there's a lot more stuff to see, you know? I've got a bunch of terrain pieces and stuff from Warhammer that I've thought to use for an in-person thing, because they would just add that level of a little bit more immersion, because you can see what's going on and what's going into this encounter. And I've wishlisted a bunch of interesting terrain things just for a D&D kind of thing anyway, because it's stuff that will represent things better than I can draw on my shitty battle map that has, erasable markers, and my drawing skills are very subpar. So it's more just to convey what I want to convey rather than it being a necessity, I guess, but convey it better than I think that I could. But even then, the theater of the mind is so powerful if you describe things, in as much detail as you need. So it really just comes down to the fact that these people seem to feel like their creativity for, like, running something with theater of the mind isn't good enough, or at least that's what it seems like to me. Which I have to be the bearer of bad news for you and say that no, that's not true. You can be, like, far more creative without the limitations of a bunch of Dwarven Forge stuff.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
Actually, try. You don't try to blame your campaign's goodness or badness on the terrain that you possess.
Right, the table, the terrain, the DM screen. Like, it's that saying: a poor craftsman blames his tools. But I'm not even thinking that you're a poor craftsman if you're complaining about this. I'm just saying you have the potential, you just need to utilize it, so why would you even think that having this stuff, like, it's cool, but you don't need to sink thousands of dollars to make it so that your game is better? That's silly.
And not to mention, like, unless you're going for, like, typical stuff, like, dungeon and field and mountain, you're going to be spending a lot of money on stuff you might only get a couple uses out of.
Yeah, exactly.
So even if you have grand plans for some, like, super duper, like, awesome campaign, if you can't find terrain that's, specifically for that, have fun.
Good luck.
Yeah.
But yeah. Japan lets the mangaka do their own things and sink or swim and take their time finding people like that. Their stuff, no matter how small that fan base is. Yeah. Google told me that yellow eyes in anime symbolize a character having a fox-like slyness and that you can't necessarily trust their apparent motives. That's probably why I feel such an affinity to characters who have yellow eyes. There you go. Huh. Or they have jaundice.
That's true.
Super Geek Mike is greater than Garibay. Oh, by a fucking million
Dude,
times.
A lot of people are better than Garibay.
Most of the people that we cover, yeah, absolutely.
Most of the people on Earth are.
Yes, exactly. That is a low bar, to be fair, but it's still a good thing. Yes.
Yeah.
But Alejo, if it's not my tools, then it's my fault. Oh
Exactly.
no.
Fucking apply yourself, Frodo. I hate that fucking term, dude. It doesn't even make any sense.
I know. A lower tier scrub blames his team. True.
Yes.
Low tier scrub.
You can spend as much money as you want on D&D. As we see from Critical Role's new set, there is no limit. But will it actually enhance the experience of your games very much? It all adds to the immersion factor, of course, but immersion is not the whole game, and that is not even the only way to immerse your players in the game. And we know that for a fact because the Briarwood arc happened on a set that looked like this. Matt has a cool background, sure, but that's it. Everything else he's using to enhance the game, to immerse them in the world, comes from the music he's playing on his iPad. What about the terrain? Well, again, during the Briarwood arc, the maps looked like this. Nothing knocking it. This map is perfectly fine. It's perfectly fine. It does the job exactly as it needs to. The gear that they use now is extremely important for a live stream. They are definitely using their money well and wisely for a show. But it shouldn't have anything to do with why Matt is perceived as the best DM. I mean, I stopped buying minis years ago.
Well, it's that whole thing of a lot of people are putting, like, it's the parasocial relationship as well as just in general putting people on a pedestal who you see as more important than you know? We do it for celebrities all the time. We do it for anybody who's done anything significant that gets, like, in the news of any sort. Like, it's one of those things that it's just we seem to continuously want to put people above ourselves so that we can aspire to be more like them, but it goes too far a lot of the time, you know? And it's unfortunate because, I mean, I don't know if you know this, but, like, deep down, we're all kind of, like, the same. Like,
except some people are better than you.
Right, yeah, but you know. But, like, it's just one of those things. I don't know if you've been told, but, like, most people are kind of similar deep down, and we don't really need to worry about that other person who has, like, $5 million and is kind of being, you know, having an easier life than you. That's just a different thing altogether. But, like, deep down, that person isn't better than you. Don't worry about it. Like, it's just one of those things. So I don't know. I guess that's just human nature at that point, which sucks.
Yep.
I don't feel like my games have gotten any worse as a result. The equipment is not the game. And the people who say that it's his equipment that makes him so good, that's just another form of the argument that Matt Mercer is not someone we can learn from. Because what's happening in Critical Role is not real D&D. And I don't agree with that. You could start running a game like Critical Role tomorrow. All you need to do is run a tactical game, do some voices or have some emphasis on role-playing, and put focus on your characters' backstories and make them central to the plot. That's it. If you want to learn all of his tricks, the flashy stuff that makes Critical Role impressive, we'll talk about a lot of that on this channel. And spoilers, some of it is just that he has amazing players who are deeply invested in his game, but that's because he knows them really, really, really well. But that is why I genuinely believe the Matt Mercer Effect is kind of, maybe, a good thing. Because now, for the first time in the history of Dungeons & Dragons, we have a shared language. And players can use that language, they can say and they can articulate the kind of game they enjoy. That has never happened before without just referencing books and movies, and those are also fairly open to interpretation when you try to run them through the filter of a role-playing game. Now we have a game that we can look at and say, this, I want it like this. This is the experience that I'm looking for.
Okay, yeah, because Critical Role in every actual play can be a thing that you point to because they give you those aspects because they are specific to role-playing or TTRPGs in general. That is true. That isn't something that I've never thought about. That's very cool.
Yeah.
Good job, culture. We did it. We made it so that the nerds don't feel so bad anymore. We did that a while ago, but, like, you know.
Very cute.
But, like, you know, it's one of those things that it's like, yeah, I can point to, like, I've been watching, for those of you who are aware of them, Chaotic Neutral, which is the people from No Rolls Barred, who are doing a TTRPG channel with actual plays and stuff. They do a Call of Cthulhu game every now and then. It's one-offs that are like 3.5 hours that I really enjoy. I really, really like them because it's a lot of serious stuff, but it's also a lot of humor and shit. And I like the combination, and I like the people, and I like the atmosphere. And it's one of those things where I could go, yeah, if your game is like that, I'm going to enjoy it. But I can also go over to any of the more serious stuff and point to that and go, but if it's like that, I'm also going to enjoy it. You know, I can show you the example and say, if you do it anything like this, we're going to have a good time. And that's crazy good. So yeah. Hello, RDX. How are you doing? Are you saying Matt is their Oshi? Not in those exact terms, I guess. My religion teaches that all humans are equal, peasant. That's right. Exactly. He also owns a house. True. I didn't know No Rules Bard had a TTRPG channel. Cool. Yeah. Chaotic Neutral is what it's called. Go check them out. I have been very much enjoying their stuff.
Now, there are a lot of Matt Mercer Effect stories out there that make it clear that it's not just the sentiment being expressed. That is not the problem, or at least that's not the whole problem. Sometimes these players are just complaining without articulating what it is they like, or what they would prefer. And because of that, they're not able to sort themselves into the proper campaigns the way more experienced players can.
Yes.
But that's because they're new to the hobby. That could be true whether or not they're referencing Critical Role. They simply don't know.
He's gone over every single point that we've gone over. I love it. How
to differentiate yet. If you hear the stories, some of them sound like problem players, some of them may even be problem players. But the sentiment here, I think, is pretty simple. They have an experience that they are chasing, and they're just trying to find it. Now, hopefully, now that you've watched this video, if you're ever at a table where someone begins to express that they wish the game was more like Critical Role, or they wish the DM was more like Matt Mercer, you can help them understand that not every DM plays like Matt Mercer, and not all of them are trying to. If they're open to a new experience, they can, of course, stay at the table, and they can see how the DM runs their game, and see if it's something the player might enjoy. Now, of course, your style might change over time. Mine has changed a lot just since the lockdown started in 2020, but that is a larger subject, and we are going to do more videos about that in the future. But for now, just remember, if your DM is running the best game of D&D that she can, and a player still complains that it's not enough like Critical Role, you're totally within your rights to quote Billy Joel. That's not her style. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. This is a very loaded subject, so I look forward to the comments. Please be civil, be respectful. I know that this is a raw subject for some of you. If you have experienced the Matt Mercer effect, I sympathize, I understand, but I hope you understand the point I'm trying to get at. And if you don't, that's okay. Let's discuss it below. If you like this video and you want to see more, you can hit the like button and the subscribe button, respectively. That's what those things do. If you want to be notified when they come out, hit the bell. I think you probably knew all that. This is YouTube, and it's been around for a while. It hasn't changed that much. Thank you so much for watching. Play fair, and have fun.
I do like that fucking video series title. So during the end of the video, during the end of the video, you know how like a suggested video pops up, and it was why I don't ban feats when I probably should, and the series is called World Breaking instead of World Building.
That's very good. Yes.
Yeah, that's really good. I like that.
Hell yeah. No, that's great video. Absolutely fantastic video. It's in the description, of course, so you can go and watch it, send it to a friend, because it's fucking good. Like, I love that video. It was great. It was rational. It was like going over it in such a way that isn't going to alienate anybody who doesn't understand, and it's going to further the conversation a lot better than something like what we do. Yeah, absolutely fantastic video. Yeah, I mean, fuck. What else is there to say? Good job, Super Geek Mike. Good fucking job. I have a deep-cutted personal experience about this situation. Do you? Oh, tell us, RDX, please. I would love to know.
Yes.
This has been a good video. Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah, ultimately, at the end of the day, like, if you think that you can't do the things that Mercer can do, that's crazy. You can.
Yeah.
It might not be to the same extent, right? Like, you can't, like, completely fill the shoes, because you can't just be the guy, but
Mhm.
you can utilize the techniques to your own effect, and your own style, and thus make your own version of what makes his games great. So, and it's as simple as literally, as he said, there are like 4 things. You listen to your players. You utilize their character. I've already forgotten most of them. You utilize their characters in a way that, and listen to what they want in the game. Hell, you can do a little voice. You can make a little map. Like all of the elements are there that you can just take. So fucking do it. You can do it. Don't not believe in yourself. Don't listen to Garibay, who will drag you through broken glass by your brain.
Yes.
And I would probably give it an A, but I should have paid more attention to it instead of thinking about how I could drag on humans for most of the time. Well, there you go. Oh, and Boo, I got to the part in Dragon Ball Z where Goku goes Super Saiyan for the first time. It was great.
It's good shit.
That is a good moment for sure.
Yeah, it's very good.
Yeah. This may be a bit of a brick of text, so I apologize in advance. Well, build that wall. I would love to see it. Go for it. Do a little voice, make a little map, get down tonight. That's right. Also, guys, I finally got into a D&D session 0. It's going to be on Monday. Hey, good for you, JR
Nice.
Sonic. I hope you have fun.
Yeah. Don't be a Matt Mercer simp, please.
That's right. Yeah, just set your expectations real clearly, and then have your DM set the expectations real clearly, and you'll be fine.
Yeah.
Not me reading Boo and Teardrop's message and then Dragon Ball Z and then auto-correcting it in my brain to Boo. Yes, there you go.
Yeah.
So, that was that. Ultimately, great video. I would gladly send that to anybody who doesn't understand. Easily. Second video is going to be by Matt Colville.
Okay.
The other Matt. Whoa.
Yeah. The other famous D&D Matt.
That's right. So, okay,
so
yeah, thank you. Okay, there we go. So, we have good old Matthew Colville. We haven't covered a Matthew Colville video in a long time.
Was the last time we talked about him when somebody brought up, like, oh, Matt Colville didn't like this thing?
Yes.
And then they...
It
oh
was
my God.
back when Olive Man was the thing. Yes.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
so
I'm pretty
long.
sure. Yeah.
Holy shit.
But I saw this video
Yeah.
in the feed, and I looked at the title saying, "How long should an adventure be?" And I went, "That's a good question."
It is a good question.
Right? Because it really depends. It's incredibly hard to judge how long something is going to be, even as it being a module or your own created adventure. Like, if it will drag for too long or not, like, you can't really tell because of the adventure itself, but you can kind of gather the information from the experience that you've had with your players a lot of the time, right? Like with Devils and Dice, I would have been fine had we gone so much longer.
Yeah,
You know?
I could have done it.
But
I could have done it if we didn't run into the delays.
exactly. scheduling issues are the reason why we wanted to get that kind of over with a lot more.
Yeah.
But I still would have been totally down to just keep going. But I know, again, the fatigue was getting to you of running the thing and wanting to actually be done with it.
Yes.
Which I totally understand. And
But
like,
yeah, we left a few loose ends.
Oh,
but,
but it's not that bad, you know? Everything was
It's
tied up enough, and the loose ends that we left are things that you can kind of infer how they would go.
Yeah, you know, you've got the loose ends to kind of wonder about, and the
Mhm.
characters are all still alive, so you can
Mhm.
kind of make up your own headcanon if you want.
Exactly. So, spoilers. But,
Yeah.
you know, it's one of those things that, because it's with you guys, I would be down to do games for fucking ever, you know? So, like, I don't know. It doesn't really matter to me how long it goes. But if I'm running it, which I'm going to be running the vampire one, I might change a little bit in how I feel about it potentially. I don't know, because I really, really like vampire, and I'm fine. I'm ultimately, our Devils and Dice game has conditioned me to the point of being the most patient motherfucker when it comes to this shit. Like, legitimately. Like,
Yeah,
I
fair.
do not care anymore if I can't do things for a good fucking half a year. Yeah. Like, legitimately. So and that might not be the case for you out there at your tables, right? But I would strongly encourage patience. Strongly encourage it, because not everything is going to work out schedule-wise. Absolutely not. So you're going to encounter some sort of issue, I'm sure. Let's see. I got don't put anyone on a pedestal. I agree that no human should be put on a pedestal. That person should be put. The only person that should be put on a pedestal is the ultimate life form, Shadow the Hedgehog. That's true. He is the ultimate life form for a reason.
Who shadowed the hedgehog?
Yes,
What?
that's right. He is the ultimate life form. Don't ever forget.
He is. It's not the lizard.
No. He looks like a brother of Louis Black. Oh, Matthew Colville? I don't know who Louis Black is.
Apparently it looks like Matt Colville.
Apparently, yeah. Cohesive wording is hard, so I'll put a pin on it until I can make it into a cohesive paragraph that isn't full of a mess of nothingness. Hey, yeah, if you want to, like, make it into a comment, that work too. Works, whatever you want to do. Did I hear the mention of Shadow? Yes, JR Sonic, yes.
Yeah, dude.
Speaking of Shadow the Hedgehog, can't believe we are about to see Maria get shot at least 2 times on a global scale.
Yeah, dude.
What? What am I missing?
So they're making the 3rd Sonic movie, and Shadow's in it.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Oh, fuck yeah.
Yep. And dude, it's fucking Keanu Reeves doing his voice too.
Oh,
which is
my
great.
God, of course it is.
Yep.
I still need to see too. I still need to watch that. But yeah.
I'm assuming he's going to be like an anti-hero in that too, because they don't have Jim Carrey as Eggman anymore.
Yeah, has to be an anti-hero, and then at the end he'll be like, well, I guess.
Fuck, whatever.
And then they'll hug, and he'll be like, stop. Yeah. It'll be great.
I'm supposed to be badass, damn it.
It'll be so good. I can't wait.
It will. I'm just wondering if Rouge or Omega is going to be in there.
That would be super interesting, right?
Oh, yeah.
If they actually
if you put Rouge on the big screen, they're like, oh boy.
Oh no.
Because
what have you done?
Yup. Gonna awaken a lot of normies.
It'll be so funny. It'll do what the Lion King did for many people.
Yeah. But with Rouge, you know, you actually have.
Oh, it's there for a reason. Yeah, absolutely.
Oh,
yeah. Anyway, he's the guy that played Anger in Inside Out. I didn't watch Inside Out, so I don't know the voice. And then they were making the Sonic X Shadow and the Hedgehog Sonic Generations remake. Really?
Oh, that's cool.
Okay, neat. Rouge the Bat voiced by Megan Fox, right? Just kidding. Oh, no, please. If they make Shadow and Sonic kiss, best Sonic movie ever. That'd be so funny.
Very funny.
All right, let's start. How long should an adventure be?
Okay, so how long should an adventure be?
That's the question.
Is there a right answer? Probably not. But is it a good question? I think it is.
Yeah.
And if you don't want to wade through this entire video, because why would you? My point is only that this kind of adventure, a short one, is better for us than big hardcovers like this. There's a place for big epic adventures like this, but it should not be the default. And making it the default, I submit, is bad. It makes all of our lives harder. That's basically it. On with the show. Hey everybody, Matt Colville here. This might actually be a short video. We'll see. I wanted to talk about campaigns and campaign settings and this sort of missing piece from the game, the idea that you make or choose a world to play in. That used to be a big deal. Nowadays, not so much. But as I was working on that script, I realized that before I talked about that, I needed to talk about what an adventure is, and more to the point, what it should be. Because the entire idea of a campaign only makes sense if you make some assumptions about what an adventure is. The whole reason we use the term campaign is because of this assumption that you are going to string together a bunch of otherwise unrelated, smaller adventures into one big story. Now, some of you watching this are already saying to yourself, well, of course, how else would a campaign work? Well, I went through this whole thing live on Twitch, and we had folks in chat saying, I literally don't understand how you can do that. So this is obviously a problem. It may not be a problem for you.
How you can
Really?
tie together a bunch of different adventures into an overarching campaign? Like,
Yeah.
Is that what they don't get?
I guess, but that's ridiculous. How do you not understand that you can just, I don't know,
Like-
run the adventure and then you just say that the next one, you just write it so that it is.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
Like,
and
come
even
on.
if it's a side thing, it's a side thing that's also just part of your campaign, you know? Like, it's not necessarily part
Yeah.
of the main story plot, right? But it
Mhm.
is something else that you can do inside of the game, you know?
Yeah.
Which could give you benefits if you actually do it. Just like, it's one of those things that you literally can just point to any RPG game and go, there are a bunch of side objectives that you can do, and you don't need to do them, but if you do, you can get, like, more money, more items, all that kind of stuff, and prepare yourself more for when you do continue on with the adventure.
Yeah.
So,
You mean the entirety of Skyrim?
exactly, yes. Don't ever do the main quest until you've done everything else, because the main quest can be done in like 2 hours, probably a little longer than that, but you know, it's
Well,
really
at least
short.
You should at least do the mission that lets you fight the dragon first, because that way dragons will actually spawn. in
Oh
the
yeah,
world.
true. And then you can
That
actually,
was
like,
something
do
that
it.
I did the first time I played through Skyrim. I didn't do that quest, and I
Yeah.
was just wandering around. I had like 24 words, and I'm like, "Fuck, where do I get a dragon
No
soul?"
souls.
Like, oh,
That's amazing. I love that.
yeah, because like I didn't fucking give a shit about the dragons. I just wanted to go and fucking do shit.
Yeah, I get you. No, that makes sense.
Because I just kept going into caves, and there's like always a dragon word, and like there's a dragon word in like 90% of the fucking caves.
Yeah, you're right.
It was great.
That's really good.
Yeah, dude.
What is this Thum you speak of? I don't get it.
It's like, I know how to fucking push people, but I can't do this other shit, and I really want to. Where do I get a dragon soul?
That's amazing.
Where the I thought the dragons are coming back. What the fuck?
Really, really good.
Yeah, it's very funny.
A Rouge will do for this generation what Sally did for the previous one. True.
Yep. Especially with how horny people are now. Like, holy shit.
Yeah, you're allowed to be horny now. So-
Yep.
My shipping side is showing. There you go. Rouge has awakened so many teenagers' time for Gen Z to experience it. True.
Yep.
Is
Yeah, but who knows if they'll even put Rouge in there.
They won't.
They may not.
They won't. It's gonna be the next one. You know, like they're doing the universe. They're gonna do these forever, and if they keep being
The
at least
Sonic Cinematic Universe.
that's right. If they keep being as fine to as at least one was, you know, like
Yeah.
there's nothing wrong with that. They have their
Yeah.
place.
Yeah, it's not offensive.
No,
And it is a video game character movie that isn't like
bad.
terrible.
Yeah,
Which is nice.
yeah. Honestly, like I think I watched Sonic 1 and it was fine. It's a little
Yeah.
different, but there's nothing wrong with an adaptation being different. So, you know.
Yeah.
Is it me or does he sound like Neil deGrasse Tyson? With the cadence? Kind of. Yeah, a little
Yeah.
bit. I get you. How come I never heard anybody talk about campaigns in that way, putting small stories together? I thought campaigns were just a long story. Well, so, yeah, that's
They
fair.
can be.
Yeah, like,
Uh,
the overarching narrative can be a big, long story, but, like,
Yeah.
they could also be one thing leading to another, leading to another, leading to another, which is just a bunch of small stories all put together.
Yeah.
You know?
Because if you don't want to do the writing,
Yeah.
just do it that way.
Yeah, exactly. And it's less of a grand journey rather than, well, it is still a grand journey, but it's more about each stop along the way, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Rather,
More like a road trip.
yeah, and rather than being like our destination is to go and fight the thing at the end, but all these things happen in the middle, you know? So you really just think of the beginning and the end, and then it's like, oh, but you can do a combination of both, and really I feel like that's what a lot of people do. But at the same time, the small stories thing is like, oh yeah, while you were a mercenary, you did all of these fucking jobs, and you kept getting better at doing these things, so people kept hiring you for more and more jobs. And you kind of keep going through your life. It's less of a heroic way to look at it, I guess, or a grand way to look at it. It's more of a, this is your day-to-day, but it's really interesting this day-to-day, you know?
In the fuck?
More slice of life than shonen.
Yes.
So, you know.
Oh my, what the fuck? That's so weird.
What?
So, guy put meat, the gummy Flintstone vitamins, and the crunchy
Oh.
Flintstone vitamins,
Oh.
and made sausage out of it.
Oh.
Yeah, he put it in a fucking meat grinder and
Oh.
packed it as a sausage. What the fuck,
That's
dude?
weird.
I know.
Oh.
That is disgusting.
Yeah. That reminds me to watch Sonic X. Oh yeah, Sonic X. Didn't that get like really crazy at the end?
I wouldn't
didn't
be
they
surprised
go to
at all.
space and stuff? Like
I mean, they went to
actually like
space and-
other dimension space, I mean.
Oh, okay.
You know? I don't know.
They did that in Yu-Gi-Oh! GX.
Yeah. They do that in a lot of kids' cartoons, let's be fair.
They really do. It's fucking weird.
It's 'cause they-
I don't understand why extra dimensional shit is so fucking common.
Well, it's because like you do everything on Earth, and then you got to up the stakes. So you got to go away from Earth, and then once you're in space, it's like, well, we're in space now, but like maybe we should go to like another place to have like
Yeah.
a different Earth, you know? So they go through the dimension. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's weird. Listening to these kids talk about their awakening character when I lived through the advent of Lola Bunny. True. True. Though Sally was before Lola Bunny, let's be fair. Come on.
Yeah, that is true.
But
Although I think we all know that it's not Sally or Sally and what was the other Lola Bunny? It's neither of those. It's fucking Maid Marian from Disney's Robin Hood.
Yeah,
That was the
Oh
first.
yeah. Oh yeah, you are
That was
absolutely
truly
correct.
the first.
Yeah, Maid Marian from Robin Hood. Absolutely.
Yep.
You're absolutely right.
The one that did it for me was Crystal from Star Fox
Oh.
Adventures. Cause I played that when I was young,
Yep.
and I'm like, oh,
That would do it. I understand. You know, it was oh god, what was her name? What is her name? I need to find her name. Why can't I remember it? Since I was young.
Yep.
Hold on. Alora from Spyro 1 through 3. Or sorry,
Oh.
2 and 3 cuz she wasn't
Isn't
in
that
1.
the deer girl?
Yeah, she's the fawn girl.
Ah, yeah.
Yep. Alora was one of them. Anyway. But they aren't real stories. We all know you can only have one of those every 100 years. That's right. Don't ever
Yep.
forget. Lola Bunny, what you think of the Looney Tunes show version? Oh, the newer one? Apparently they give her more character and she's actually better. like as like a character in the
Blue
newer
Crystal?
Looney Tune thing, which is neat.
Oh, Looney Tunes.
Yeah.
Sorry, I wasn't listening.
The Looney Tunes show Lola was funnier than Space Jam. That's fair. Yeah. Fair, boo, fair for the Maid Marian. There you go. Furries unite. There you go. Not a furry, but I appreciate, you know? It's it's one of those things. Anyway.
But it is very clearly a real issue. I say string together otherwise unrelated adventures. Well, the thing that relates them all together is the heroes. Your players are the heroes of all of these stories.
Yes.
So this becomes the story of all those stories, and that's why we use the term campaign.
Exactly.
You don't try to shoehorn them all into some larger narrative. No. You let each adventure be its own story with a beginning, a middle, and an end. Rewards and all that. Then you give the players some downtime, ask them what they want to do before the next adventure, and you repeat the cycle. It's why old people like me call adventures modules, because they were modular. One does not lead to the other. There is no relationship between this adventure and this one. You can arrange them in whatever order you like. They are modular. There tends to be an order between any two modules just because they're for different levels. Oh, this is a 3rd level adventure. This is a 4th level adventure. So this one happens first. Okay, but says who? A lot of adventures say they're for 4th level or whatever, but you can run them for 3rd or 5th, often without even changing anything.
Yeah.
These ratings on here are not a precise science. I mean, I think almost any adventure you buy, you've got to tweak. The folks who made these adventures had no idea what your players are like. Are they all very tactical players or the complete opposite? Well, guess what? That has a big impact on the difficulty of the adventure. Also, a lot of official or even just really popular adventures get almost no playtesting. So you got to do some work to tweak it anyway.
Hello. Welcome.
You missed an incredibly based video, but now we're on to another one that seems
Incredibly
also based.
Yes.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, the
No
first
cringe tonight.
Yeah, no cringe. We're on Wytheville.
I saw we were doing the Mercer Effect.
Yeah, that was the first one, which was it being good and to a degree, yes. And the guy was very, very good with his argumentation about it. It was very, very good, honestly. I was very happy about it.
Ooh, Matthew Colville.
And now we're on Colville, who's talking about how long should an adventure be. Which he's just kind of at this point defining how some people view campaigns are either some big long narrative or sometimes just a adventure downtime, you know, all that kind of stuff. There's different ways to do it, but people seem to have difficulty understanding that at points just because, you know, that's just the way it is. Which, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that, you know? It's just however you want your games to go. So yeah, that's kind of where we're at.
Okay. Also, hello, chat.
There you go. And Pizza Funk says, hello, Stealth Man.
Yeah, it's him and Timothy's comments.
There you go. Okay. Also, we were talking about furry stuff. And Awakening, which was fun.
So it was a little bit of cringe.
Yeah, you know. I guess my true Awakening character is probably too obscure for many people to know about, but it would be a character named Foxy Roxy from Brutal Paws of Legend. There you go. In hindsight, feels the name feels a bit on the nose. True. Why am I the only one without a furry awakening? You'll have it. Don't worry. It will happen. Everyone
Well, I mean,
goes
if you look for it, you'll find it.
Exactly.
That's the thing. If you want one, Rule 34. You'll find one.
If you want one, you have the power within you to find one.
I heard Totally Spies was an awakening for a few. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Also, Space Jam.
Yeah, we already talked about Lola Bunny. Yep, true. Forgot about Thundercats. Yeah, fair enough. All right.
Oh yeah.
What's your furry awakening, Aiden?
Monster Musume.
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair. I would say do monster girls count as furries?
Yes.
Yeah, I would say so. Just
I guess if you're super into Mia, that does make you kind of a scaly.
So Neko, the term for like in Monster Musume, Musume actually just means like it's Japanese for like a young girl, like early 20s.
Yeah.
The term for the monsters they were is Nekomimi, which quite literally means cat ears.
Yes.
Ah.
The Neko girls. Gotcha. Based Aiden. There you go.
Fuck yeah, guys.
If you like Monster Musume, you need to watch fucking Interspecies Reviewers. That one's funny. Like genuinely funny.
Reviewers was a treat.
There you go.
It was very funny.
I still have yet to watch that. Yeah.
You can easily find that shit uncensored.
Oh,
Look for the uncensored version.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, yeah, no, that's the only way.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's genuinely very funny.
Yes.
I watched Gushing Over Magical Girls the only way too. Weirdly enough, though, you would expect me to be like a total like monster girl, Doctor like Mark. Because that anime has everything I love. I fucking hate it.
Oh, interesting.
There you go. My Monster Girl Awakening would have to be Pixie from Monster Ranch. There you go. That's ultra close to hentai. Well, you know, you can get closer. You can get closer.
Yeah.
All right, ahead of you, Boo. Red Interspecies back in the day. There you go.
Hey!
Man of culture. And watch gushing. There you go. All right. That's okay. Rein it in, everybody. Rein it in. We're getting back to this. Come on.
I'm down.
Get too hung up on what level it says it's for is the point I'm making. We call this a campaign because of basically the Napoleonic Wars, which was sort of the most popular kind of war game for decades back in the early 20th century. It just means this collection of battles. That's the analogy. We sieged this castle once, then we went and fought the Spanish army once. Those were different unrelated objectives, but these soldiers fought in all of them, so that's a campaign. That's why we use the term campaign, and it's why our world is often called a campaign setting. It's just
this is one of those history lessons that I actually like follow and can go through, and I'm like, oh, nice. Because you know, sometimes we get the ones from the Baron who I just can't follow because he's, for some reason, his speed is a little harder for me to like follow, even though Coville is kind of doing the exact same pace. You know, I don't know what it is, but anyway.
Yeah,
the place
does maybe a better job describing it.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. There's something to it.
All these adventures happen. I keep saying all these adventures, a series of adventures. And we have now arrived at the point of the video. I think most people, and that means there's still a lot of exceptions. Yes, you're probably one of them. You're so special. But I think most people think of something like this when they think of the typical D&D adventure. Now, I suspected this was true, but I wasn't sure. I suspected it was true because this is basically the default form factor for an official adventure. Yeah. So since it's what people make, this is what people tend to buy, and then they assume this is the normal way to run D&D.
Right.
Some of these hardcovers are anthologies and have several adventures in them. Okay, but since this is the most popular kind of adventure, folks assume that this is what a normal D&D adventure looks like. I posted a poll online. Over 4,000 people voted, and over 70% of them said, yes, the big hardcover adventure best describes their experience. Whew. Listen, I rarely say this is bad. I prefer to say, here's why people do this, and when it goes wrong, here's how and why. But I feel very strongly about this, so I'm just going to say it. This, the giant hardcover adventure that takes you from levels 1 to 10 or whatever, this should not be the default experience of play. In D&D, or really any RPG, they make these adventures because they make way more money from a hardcover than they do from something like this. But the fact that they make more money off of these should not mean that we, therefore, should view this as the default.
No, I would agree with that point.
Yeah, that's completely fair.
Yeah,
absolutely. I fully agree.
Yeah, I mean,
fuck capitalism.
Yeah, yes.
No, I mean, it's less about the money and more so about how the game winds up getting played and getting experienced.
Yes.
In those kinds of campaigns, because we can actually look at Devils and Dice for this as well, where once the plot came in and once the delays really started happening and I wanted to play and I wanted to run it, I kind of started forcing the plot in.
Yes. Yeah.
And so you guys didn't really wind up having the freedom that I originally intended for you to have. There
Right.
were a lot of things that I wanted to do initially, and then when we weren't able to play every week, I kind of wanted to, move along because I think in my head, I'm like, well, if I get the story out there and I start piquing their interest with that, they'll start coming back they'll start trying to be more consistent with like schedule, with session arrivals, which obviously, scheduling is its own, that happened.
Right. Yeah.
So at that point, that fell through. But when you have modules like that, you can do an adventure. Everybody can have their shared moments. They can have cool things happen. They can have funny things happen, and then they get rewards.
Yes.
And then you get to do that again, and then again. And it feels like if you've played those kinds of short adventures where you get an objective, you go out, you do the objective, you come back, you get rewarded. It's just a more fun and more rewarding feeling gameplay loop.
Yeah,
Rather,
you can visually, you can actually experience that a lot more easily than having the long campaign, right?
Yeah, because if you think about it, like let's use TikTok and YouTube.
Sure.
TikTok is all about getting like constant like dopamine bursts.
Yes.
Whereas YouTube is a slow drip.
It's
typically.
and it's trying to transition into that.
Except for the fact that YouTube Shorts exist.
Exactly. It's trying to transition
we're ignoring shorts because nobody fucking watches shorts.
Yeah, it lies outside of and is inconvenient to your narrative.
Yes, exactly. And so it feels like, you get those big bursts of dopamine and then, you've got peaks and valleys, rather than just a very slow ascent to the peak.
Yes.
One big peak.
Yes. Yeah, no, it's one of those things where I think it's good to, especially for newer players, it's good to go with shorter adventures to get them to have the feel of, okay, this is kind of, you get to know how an adventure goes. You get to experience all of these things, and it takes maybe up to 10 sessions at max, Like,
yeah,
it's not going to last forever. It's going to be one of those things that maybe you do in a month, maybe you do it in 2 months, and then you've gotten your rewards and such. If you're doing a more long form adventure, I suppose, in a shorter adventure. But for the like one shots and stuff that you can kind of just zip through and then get that instant like, okay, now I've done the thing. Now I've got the rewards and stuff. Now my character will go to the next thing. It represents a lot more of the scope that you can kind of give D&D over those long terms, I guess. Because like you can include all of these elements inside a long campaign. It's just that they're fewer and far. They can be few and far between. And I guess the opposite though can be true of conditioning people to want that dopamine hit.
Exactly.
Of like, oh, maybe we shouldn't do such a long thing because I need to get something out of it at like the end of the session, or something like that. Which then it's just becomes something of like, oh, well, you can kind of structure a longer campaign to be more like that, So it just becomes like a style thing of like, oh, if my players want to have that at the end of the session, they kind of get their loot and then they can go to town and do whatever they want between the next adventure and stuff. We can do that through either doing it like this of having a bunch of these short adventures that are modular, as he was talking about, or the actual long campaign goal can be broken up into small things that all lead to that big thing at the end, right? And thus give you rewards every time you complete an objective, I guess, that leads you towards the end of the game. But regardless, I mean, nothing's wrong with either playstyle, right? But I don't know necessarily. I don't know personally if I agree to the fact that it's worse to have players more used to longer form campaigns. But that honestly might just be because I prefer longer content and such. I prefer longer experiences with things. So that honestly might just be down to my bias.
Yeah, I mean, I do as well. That's why I cut my teeth on a lot of JRPGs that go like 60, 70, 80 hours.
Right? So we all have that as a thing, but probably it is better for newer people. Probably. I don't know.
We, I think, as Dungeon Masters, are much better served with these short 32 to 64 page adventures. In fact, you may already know this, but remember the OGL debacle from last year? Well, this is why the OGL was originally created. Well, it's one of the reasons. It's the reason the board of directors went for the idea. The OGL let smaller companies make many small adventures for D&D, so Wizards of the Coast didn't have to. Small adventures like this are cheap, and you need a wide selection of them. So no single adventure sells that well. So you can see where this is going, right? So how about instead of lots of small adventures that lose money, we make one big adventure every year? Okay, sure. That makes sense for those folks, the folks who own the game. But does it make sense for us, the actual people running the game? I say the nay. I think smaller adventures are better for us and healthier, if that makes any sense. And I think we would all be a lot happier as players, as directors, if this was normal and this was the exception. Oh, small adventure.
I will actually say in defense of Colville.
Yeah.
One of the things that I have most enjoyed about now that like a big campaign of Devils and Dice is over, of like, hey, what about maybe just like fucking around with City of Mist for a weekend?
That's true.
Exactly.
Yeah, it is. So, I guess, I don't know. I guess I just really enjoy, and I was saying this to Boo before, of like, I would be fine with like, if we're playing Devils and Dice for like 10 to 20 more sessions, I'd be fine with that. I would absolutely love that, in fact. I have no qualms with going as long as it takes, personally. But I also do enjoy when we take breaks and we do things in between. But that's the other thing that we can do of like, if things are feeling like we need to take a break from it, we can just play a different system or something for, a couple of sessions and then be like, woo, we did it. That's fun. And it's nice, like you said, it's nice to have that after such a long campaign, but I'm also like super jazzed for a long campaign as well for the next one, not just because I'm writing it and vampire is a thing that I really like. It's more just like, I don't know. I like having that as a thing to do. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. I don't fucking know. But I don't. So, and I also just don't. I personally don't understand this idea of it being more healthy and making us happier to have this be more of the norm.
Yeah, I'm not entirely certain if it's more healthy either.
Yeah, we'll have to see if he actually like goes into that.
Yeah, because like I just from the offset I don't understand, I guess. Like long form content too. Nice. Chat died. Chat was working for me. I hope it didn't die for you for too long. Anyway.
Let me count the ways. Actually, all the ways boil down to one way, and that is they are short. But it turns out that has a big impact on play. For instance, you can read this whole thing in an afternoon, right? Which means you can buy it this afternoon, read it, and run it tonight. How many new DMs end up frustrated reading this and getting lost trying to run it, and they decide the hobby isn't for them? I don't know, but I bet it's at least some. I bet a lot of new DMs, they get excited because of the promise of.
The answer seems to be that a mix of both is necessary for the hobby to truly thrive.
Yeah.
And that one is not inherently better than the other, though.
Yeah, that's kind of where I was thinking just originally.
Yeah.
But like this is a very strange appeal to me.
Yeah, he hasn't really gotten into his exact reasoning yet, so I have to
guess.
reserve judgment until he gets to that.
Yeah, it's just one of those things that the more that he's talking about it, the more I'm like weirded out by it. You know?
Yeah, understandable.
This epic story. They don't see a lot of other options, just different big hardcover adventures, and they think, I must read this whole thing before I start running. I mean, some of these big adventures explicitly tell the dungeon master they have to read the entire thing before they get started. This is bad. DMs should not start with these massive adventures. Even Fandelver is like 64 pages. That is huge to me. For a starter adventure, your first adventure ever,
No one's saying it's a
that is
starter
massive.
adventure.
Well, yeah, it is because
Lost Mines of Fandelver. I think it actually
it's
is.
the starter set.
Is it really?
Yeah, it's the starter set box one. Not the newer book, the Beneath Fandelver or whatever I think it is, but the Lost Mines of Fandelver is like it's in the starter set. So it's being touted as this is your beginner thing. Now I don't know. I can see what he's saying of like, yes, some people could be put off because there's a lot here, you know? Especially inexperienced people when they're looking at something like Curse of Strahd, which is probably one of the hardest things for a newer player to run. Because it is an open world. That's kind of my reasoning, because it is not necessarily a to B to C. It is an A, and then you can go to any letter you want. You know? So it's one of those things of like, oh, maybe you don't know exactly how you should like scale it, I guess, for encounters and stuff, because that's a game where you can play from level 1 to level 10 in it. So you might not necessarily go, oh, this should be the level 1 thing. Though, to be fair, in the book itself, it might lay it out a little bit better. I wasn't paying attention to levels and such.
I would argue that it is our role as members of the community to take these prospective new DMs under our wing and say, hey, you know, maybe try running something simpler for a starter.
I would say so.
Like, I feel like if someone is ostensibly if you're getting into the game, you're probably not starting out as a DM. Probably not.
More than likely.
Although, hell, I did.
It is less likely, at least mathematically.
Yes.
Yeah, so I feel like it is slightly less common for new players to jump into a hobby and immediately start to try to run it. Not without doing at least some research first, if you're going to jump straight into the leading role. So, if they're a player and they're like, hey, I want to try running a game, and then they're like, okay, what are you going to run? Curse of Strahd. Maybe don't start with that one, because that's super complicated.
Yeah.
You could probably get away, like, while you're finding your feet, since it's going to be your first game, plan out something simple. Like, just a single, you get your objective, you go here, you do it, you come back. Something super simple. That way you can really get a feel for how you actually run the game.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I feel like that's not something that would be hard to do.
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, I cut my teeth on Expedition to Castle Ravenloft. That was where I started with my DMing. But before that, I was playing, and we played for we played quite a bit. like
Always fucking vampires with you, huh?
yeah, I know. I have a type.
Even in Warhammer.
Yeah, I have a type. But I think we played for like 40 hours before that or something, just from, probably maybe more, maybe less, I don't know. But at that point, I mean, I had at least an idea of how 3.5 worked, because I had
for
played so
Monsters
much.
campaign.
Yeah, exactly. So I was at least confident enough that I understood the material to a degree that adding how you run it on would be fine. And I
Yeah.
started with that module because I was like, one, it's cool, and two, it's a module, so I have at least something to fall back on, right?
Yes,
Um,
exactly.
And with Curse of Strahd, I think you could do it the same way if you're a new player that wants to go into being a DM, but you're probably, like you were saying, you're probably not going to be doing it right off the bat.
Yeah,
right?
That's the thing. It's like, I want to learn how to swim. I'm going to immediately jump into the deep end.
The thing about it nowadays, especially, is you have so many examples that you can learn off of. We were talking about the actual plays from before, Critical Role being the most influential, of course, and like learning off of that, at least to the degree of learning how the game works and learning some techniques that Matthew Mercer uses himself, to kind of listen to your players and kind of tailor things to them, and go into character and role play in that way. Those are all good things that you can pick up, and you do get a lot of experience from watching an actual play now. That you can then utilize to kind of, if you haven't even played at all, you now at least have something to go off of, and then you read how it works, and you're good. At least I would think so. So really, these days, jumping off the deep into the deep end like Curse of Strahd isn't actually as harrowing as it might seem in the beginning, now that I'm thinking about it a lot more. But you still don't have that experience factor, right? And there's the only way that you're going to gain that is by continuing to try. So again, I don't think that you shouldn't deter yourself if you've learned about D&D in a way like that, to try to even run something that's big and longer like these kinds of modules. Because you might not do it great. You might not do it, perfectly like some other DM who's got a lot more experience than you did, but you at least will learn from it.
Yeah, that's true.
So, but at the end of the day, it's not wrong that if you were to start with something more simple, that you would probably be able to learn it way faster, way more easily, because there's a lot less elements to keep track of. So I don't know. There's a couple of sides here, So, but I wouldn't take the stance of this is bad. I just wouldn't. I can't.
Now, it may be less that he is saying that Curse of Strahd and big campaigns are objectively bad, and it is more so that he's saying it is bad that the company who makes them is really only making these instead of also having modules in it.
Which I would agree
in
with.
The library.
Yeah.
That definitely.
Yes, I would agree with that.
It would be super nice if you could have big campaigns made by the big guys who have all the writing dudes there, and you've got little modules coming out all the time. That would be great. Like 2 modules a month. They're like 30 pages, dude. That'd be awesome.
That'd be fantastic.
And unfortunately, you only can see that in like things like DM's Guild or RPG Drive-Thru, those kinds of sites where, unless you already know about those, you're not looking for them,
Yeah, it's true.
But at this point as well, the spread of information about where to find things, I think it's at least fine to assume that these things are shared so much that people are more aware of these kinds of sites and such, where you can get your third-party content that is those tiny adventure modules that you can start with. But I do want to also harp on the point that Aiden brought up before of we as more experienced players should really set the standard of, as a newer player, as a newer DM, maybe we can point you to something that's a lot easier for you to go with right off the bat.
Yes.
Because it's just more helpful, I think, just to get them in and out in case, I guess, it does go wrong.
Well,
not that I want to plan for failure or anything, and not that I'm saying it will go wrong, but what I'm saying is that it's...
You hope for the best, plan for the worst.
Exactly.
I would add, like, I have seen a lot of people that started off as players of mine who then went on to DM their own games. One of my favorite DMs I've had was actually started off as one of my players.
Nice.
In a campaign that, like, didn't really go very far.
Yeah.
My Elder Scrolls campaign.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, a lot of people who are DMs will go on to see their own players become DMs and have that sort of, like DM senpai position of, like, hey, you know what? But why don't you start with something a little easier? I can help you with like a few pointers for your game. So, like, lean into that, guys.
Yeah, absolutely. Few things. I might be reading too much into this, but the argument might not be to plan a long, interconnected superplot, but instead start with a short one and see where it goes from there. I feel like that is where he's going with it, but it's the this is a bad thing. This is a bad thing that really just throws
It's a bad
me off.
standard.
And I agree with that. I think, well, to a degree. But we've already gone over all that. No, never mind, only conversation died. Oh, okay. I could totally say more about anime, no problem. There you go. Talk about Viridian and the shortcomings of humanity all day, but I'm sure that would wear thin. True. Did most people start with pre-mades? I've never played nor ran a pre-made. That's a good question.
I've never played nor ran a pre-made either.
No, you did.
Same.
You played the expedition with me. So you played a
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Well, wasn't that one heavily homebrewed though?
It doesn't matter.
I mean, heavily no.
A thing.
Yeah, it was still base. It was that pre-made. So
Yeah.
Because the plot is still the same.
Yes.
The locations are most likely still the same.
Yes, they were. Yeah. There was just differences in just what I wanted to do with it. That's all.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
But yeah, I would still count it as a pre-made for sure.
Yeah.
So yeah. As someone who watched a 38-hour video about shows I don't even care about, only stopping to sleep very little wears thin for me. There you go. Me and my constant religion these days. There you go. I don't think I ever even ran a single pre-made until a couple years ago, and that was just because I was being cringe and using DMPCs and didn't want to have control of everything. Technically, I wasn't using DMPCs. Entropy and Char were playing those characters, but they live in my alien brain, so it's the same situation. There you go. Yeah. So, all right.
You know what I think makes a good first adventure? I think the Delian Tomb is a good first adventure. It took me like an hour to make this thing. I think that's one reason it's so popular. We know that hundreds of thousands of people have used some variation of the Delian Tomb. Yeah, well, I can see why. All these other choices are massive. These big adventures have their place. I love some of them. They've been around since at least the 80s when they wrapped all of the G, D, and Q series together. But the thing is, these epic adventures, they made more sense back then. Because as teenagers, even college kids, we were playing several times a week. Yeah, okay, if you're literally spending like 20 hours a week playing, you can grind through one of these in something approaching a reasonable amount of time.
I don't know if this is a good argument.
Yeah, I don't really know why this is
like,
why this
yeah,
even
I
applies.
agree that we as adults have less time than we did as kids, but that doesn't mean, like, are we
If
now...
the hobby is important to you, you make time for the hobby. It's as
Yeah.
simple as that.
And are
Yeah.
we assuming now that we're talking about new players who are adults who are becoming DMs, or are we talking about new DMs that are children? Because both exist.
Because now they probably still have the same amount of time that you did.
Yeah, but like,
if not more.
even if like, discounting the fact that children still come to be like things every day, they do exist and they do have that time, so having this also be for them, like, you realize, like, this is that for when you were a kid,
Yeah.
you know, like, so
This is their modules.
yes, so like, so they can still have this work. If we're talking about this from the perspective of an adult that has no time, yeah, it's a lot harder to get it to go through with planning and prep and reading the whole thing because you have a lot less time. But again, I mean, are we now setting the standard at adult? Because now I'm unsure about this whole video.
And so, you know what? Now I've got a question because I don't own Curse of Strahd.
Yeah.
Alejo, do you own Curse of Strahd?
I do. It's over there in my shelf.
Okay. I assume that since you've described it as an open world, it has a big fuck off map of Barovia.
Yes, it does.
Does it have a lot of locations in the
Yes.
the map? Are all of them used in the adventure? Like,
you can
every
if
single
you
one?
want to.
Okay. And loosely,
Mhm.
are there events that take place or items that you pick up in all those locations that must be presented the way they are in the book for the story to make sense?
That I don't think so, but I don't know.
Okay.
But I can
So-
assume at least that you can take some liberties.
Yeah. So what I'm thinking is, why not take Curse of Strahd
Mm-hmm.
and essentially, instead of running it as though it is a massive
Mm-hmm.
like story-focused campaign, you just plop your characters in Barovia and say, "Hey, you're in fucking Barovia. What you gonna do?" You
Mhm.
see a castle off in the distance, and you see like some dark woods over there, and there's a flask, but you can't get ye flask. That's from Homestar Runner. But you have all these different places you could go, so why not take those places that are already established and mapped out and just kind of write your own adventures in those places and just have the reward be the things that you need to do the Curse of Strahd story?
Oh yeah, that's absolutely something you could do of making it modular. Absolutely.
Yeah, you can kind of, it's an
Break it
open
down.
world. You can turn it into whatever you want.
It's true.
As long as, again, those story elements aren't things that absolutely have to be presented in a very specific way that would make that undoable.
Right.
Which sounds, from what you're saying, sounds wrong.
And I would imagine that even if they were, fuck it, you're fine. You can do whatever you
Exactly.
want. You know?
Yeah.
But interestingly enough, I remember this from Expedition, the 3.5 version. It actually was like, hey, if you want to like make this a one-shot, here's how to do it.
Oh.
Like, they used to have things like that inside of the inside of these big campaigns. And now, to be fair, it's been a hot minute since I've actually paid attention to like all of the text in Strahd. But I would imagine there's a way to do it.
Yeah.
You know? Like, I would imagine that you could do it 1-2 sessions just to go through Curse of Strahd.
Yeah.
So, like, yeah, I don't know. It's one of those things where, yes, the standard has been made for a lot of people that do watch these actual plays, that do see these releases, that there are these big, long narratives that everybody is going through, and that's the norm. I agree that that is the case, and I agree that maybe that shouldn't be the case all the time.
Yes.
But I also don't see it as that much of an issue when I also kind of think that we can still have this kind of wanting, nurturing this idea of striving to also be able to create these kinds of adventures that are big and able to be many sessions long and have them be something that's grandiose, that's memorable, and you have these characters around for a very long time, even for those newer people. I think that that's still fine to do, but I really would like to see more options to have those shorter ones, the more modular things, as in the original term of modular.
Yes.
So again, I don't see it as a bad thing. I don't see it as a problem necessarily.
Yeah.
It can be a problem for people, but it's not inherently a problem.
Yeah, I would say the only problem in relation to it is just the fact that both are not available typically.
Exactly.
Or they're both are not being produced by the people who can produce them at such high quality.
Yes. Made it look like he spent hours to make one page. Well, he said an hour, right? I remember homework taking up a lot of my time as a kid. It's true. And causing me so much stress that I legitimately worried that I was going to get a brain tumor. I was reading Expedition, but I almost would rather just run Barovia for my memory of the Ravenloft Shroud's Possession computer game. Yeah, fair enough. Do whatever you want. Yeah.
But do people play like that now? I don't think so. I don't think the average player is 17 the way it was in the 80s. I think these days people discover the hobby in their 20s, and we just don't play often enough to get through something like this in less than a year.
Well, we're just making a lot of assumptions
That's
at this
fine.
point. Yeah.
Yeah, and what's wrong with that?
Yeah, exactly.
Who cares how long it takes?
Yeah.
Like Devils and Dice took the better part of,
4 years.
little over 4, and it will always live in a special place in my heart where I
Exactly.
keep things dear to me.
Exactly.
You're
So-
welcome, by the way. Wait for my Call of Cthulhu campaign.
Which will take us another
Calm
6
down.
or 10 years. God.
Yeah. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
So what happens? People get lost. I can't tell you how many times my players, me as a player, me as a DM, me as somebody who occasionally watches people playing on Twitch, at least someone once per session says, wait, why are we doing this again? Can someone remind me why we're here and what it is we're trying to do? That is bad.
Skill
I
issue.
think
Yeah.
Yeah,
I was
skill
gonna
issue.
say,
What the hell?
Take notes?
Are you not doing a recap?
Yeah.
If you're having trouble making sessions happen consistently, you need to have a recap.
Is
You
there-
write
Yeah.
down what just happened.
Yeah. Is
The way
there...
you start off every session is you say, who wants to do the recap?
Yeah, exactly. And then
Yeah,
you...
what the hell?
Like, there are many ways, and if this is happening mid-session, well, then I don't know what to tell you. Like,
Yeah, that's someone not paying attention.
yeah, I don't understand how this happens, I guess, as consistently as you're making it sound.
Yeah.
Without there being another issue involved.
You remember, Aiden, you remember when we played Call of Cthulhu the first time and you blew a guy's head off as an intimidate roll?
Yeah,
I
in the
still
forest.
remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
so do
still
I.
remember where the fuck you guys are.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
How are you guys fucking this up?
Yeah, because I wasn't allowed to make both an intimidation and an attack roll,
Right.
and blowing his head off was an attack roll.
Yes.
And
Yeah, so I was like, well, fuck.
I remember going, oh, dude, I really want to do this. And you were like, oh, dude, fucking do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then like you blew his head off and I rolled intimidate and they succeeded. I'm like, well, that doesn't make any fucking sense.
Yeah.
They run.
Exactly. Like,
It was great.
it just, yeah. So again, note taking as well is just one of those lost art forms, it seems. I don't know how, because we all do it, and I know that they do it. They have to. I mean,
Yeah, like,
what?
come on. You've been playing this game for so long. You have to. There's
You
no
have
way
to
that you
have.
don't.
Yeah, I just, yeah, just like Dragon Ball Z last time on, etc. Yeah,
Yeah, come
Like-
on. And this would be especially important if you know that your sessions are not happening once a week or multiple times a
Right.
week.
yeah. So, okay,
That-
what
yeah,
a
no,
weird
that-
thing to
that-
say.
That fell completely flat.
Yeah,
folks just take for granted that this is what playing D&D is like. No. It's just playing through a massive adventure. These smaller adventures, not only can you read it in an afternoon, you can basically hold the entire plot in your head. I don't mean like you have the entire thing memorized. I just mean you never lose sight of why anyone is doing anything. It's not long enough to lose sight of that stuff. Okay, so people get lost in the story. That is a big problem. You know what else is a big problem? Never finishing anything. My God, these things take so long to grind through. How many people decide to try D&D? They buy all these books. They do all the work. And for the DM, it is a lot of work. And months later, they're just halfway through this thing, and there's no end in sight, and they just get burned out. And they all think, okay, well.
So that's an issue that can happen with anything, to be fair.
Yeah.
But like I can understand that is an issue with a longer campaign for sure. But what you do is now if we're talking about new people, they might not know this at this point. So let me tell you, if you're a new person, you're getting a little burned out, you're feeling a little burned out with your thing, just take some time and don't play it.
Yeah. Like it's really not that hard.
It's not,
say, hey guys, I need to take a break.
Yeah.
No one is going to revoke your D&D license.
Yeah. Exactly.
Even though they tried.
They tried. They will try. But
they certainly did.
But literally, like, take some time and do something else because
go outside, touch some grass.
Right, exactly.
I just had to say it. Go on.
But like legitimately, like doing another thing and then coming back to this, if you've been taking notes, you can leave off where you were and you can pick it back up and kind of get back to where you were and then continue on. There's nothing wrong with that.
Like, you may get in a car accident and die.
Yeah.
You could.
You could. It's possible.
You could lose your ability to to play Monster Hunter for a little bit.
For a little bit.
Yeah.
And then bring it back. And then, like, it's just a thing that could happen. And then, guess what? Once you get it back, you're good.
Yeah, it would certainly suck if you did, because I would put a damper on the campaign. You gotta fucking have a DMPC for the whole campaign now, but, you know, sometimes people die.
Yeah,
that's true.
Happens every day.
Happens every day.
We talk about character death in campaigns quite a lot, but have any of you ever considered player death?
Yeah, man, it's real fucking inconvenient.
Super
Thanks for not dying, by the way.
Yeah, thank you.
Incredibly super annoying, incredibly inconvenient.
That was nearly the biggest bitch move to pull on a first-time DM.
It really was. Like, goddamn. I would have been so pissed. Like, fuck, Aiden's dead. God fucking damn it.
I was nearly an absolute fucker, but we walked it back to shitter.
Yeah. Yep. Indeed. We went down a swear.
Jesus Christ.
We can make these jokes because he did.
I know.
And he started
it's so funny.
And I don't give a fuck. I'll do it.
I love it. No, I love it.
If no one else joined me in it, I'd be like, shirt color, like,
yeah, no, dude, I'll fucking care.
No, yeah, absolutely. I had to. It was fun. As a former teacher, no, Alejo, they don't all still take notes, even when teachers grade notes. No. I'm not talking about the people that are actually. No, I'm talking about Matt Coville.
Yeah, like Matt, because he's he's like a high level. He's like third form Frieza level fucking.
Matt taking notes is a given.
Yes, exactly.
So I don't understand
exactly. That's what I mean. Absolutely. That recap thing I did for the Delta Green thing took some work, but I feel good about it. Yes, that's true. Yeah. I really gotta get that shit out. Because it was fun. But yeah, legitimately, like you did those recaps, which were even in the game. Those were in character and all that kind of stuff, and it was literally, it made sense as to why they were being transmitted and stuff, and it was all the experiences and stuff. It was very cool.
Very good,
and it worked. But like, again, this is just a bad fucking point.
Yeah,
I don't understand. Matt,
what's going on?
It was cool. We did that. Some really cool stuff happened. Let's move on. Like, to a different hobby. They spend the summer playing, they never finished anything, but a lot of cool stuff happened, and eventually they get fed up with never completing anything. They think, I guess we're just not hardcore enough, and they decide the hobby isn't for them. I don't know how many people, but I bet at least some have that experience. Do you see where I'm going with this?
That is a
And
thing
if
that
some
happens.
people have that experience, one, they're allowed to have that
Yes.
experience, and two, if they're the type who are going to do that, they are probably not the type who would stick around anyway.
Right. Yeah. There's a few assumptions
the
we
thing.
have to make here. Right. So yeah, in the scenario that you have created, absolutely this could happen. Yes, you're right. And
Yep.
believe me, that scenario does happen. But also believe me that it also could end a different way.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Speaking of taking notes in Delta Green, what was the name of our ship, Alejo? It was the Saint Mary, I want to say. Because it took me way too long to find that when we were doing our session. And I feel so bad about that. Pop Quiz Boo, what did third form Frieza look like?
He looked like a xenomorph.
There you
Big
go.
fuck off xenomorph.
That's right.
Yes, the promise of an epic adventure is enticing. I know. But does it actually make sense with how we play? Even Baldur's Gate 3, huge smash hit, game of the year. Maybe the best game I've ever played. I often felt lost in the plot. But guess what? Baldur's Gate 3 is a video game. So you don't actually need to pay attention to what's going on. You can just follow the marker on your map, and eventually every quest line resolves. Or doesn't.
Yeah, that's true. That is something you can do with any game. Very cool.
Yeah, that does not...
I played WoW as well. I didn't read anything. You're right.
I didn't figure I would see the day where Matt shared a trash take.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I guess they can't all be homers.
No, you're right.
Nope.
This was an interesting question, and it's been an interesting video.
By the way, Alejo, I'm sending you a link. You should get that for your orcs.
Okay, I'll look at it in a second here.
Yeah, you're good. No rush.
Yeah.
Times that's fine. But D&D is a game you play manually. There's no code that runs the game for you. There was no way in D&D for everyone to just follow the little yellow blip and assume everything will work itself out. It takes a DM to make it work by hand.
Hey, you want to know what's in Baldur's Gate 3? A fucking journal. Whoa! They literally write down the quest things and everything so that you can look back at it and know what you're doing.
Yeah.
And guess what you can do in D&D? Whoa! I can take a pen to paper and I can fucking write it down.
I can take a pen and paper to this RPG.
Whoa!
Oh my god. I do actually have like a physical like little journal that has like I think they're called A2 notebooks.
Oh yeah.
That you can slot in.
Yep.
So I have like a little leather journal that I can always just put new pages into.
Oh fuck yeah, there you go.
Yeah. I don't know if I'm going to use it because it's just easier to do it digitally, but we'll see.
I have a leather-bound book that I got right after I moved to my current state.
Yeah.
And it's very nice and pretty, and like any D&D characters that I've made since making this notebook all have their own sections in that notebook.
Like I bought a bunch of small, like palm-sized little flip notebooks that I use for either note-taking or keeping track of other things for D&D or whatever. And I also now have a tablet here with a little stylus pen that I have found that I can actually write, like physically write on it, so that I can take notes and have them be digital, and so I can save them if I want to, like that. So like I literally bought this because I was like, oh, there's a pen. Ooh, because I like taking notes digitally, but I also really like writing them down, and so this combines the two very well. So like, take notes.
Yeah,
just take notes, everybody. They're fun. I like taking notes.
It's genuinely pretty fun.
Yeah,
because it really will immerse you.
Yeah.
Because you're writing, and this is now your character's handwriting. Whether they're like a fucking 20 intelligence giga fucking brained wizard or a 5 intelligence not giga brain fighter or a barbarian.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Like it's just really fun.
Is that a winged rat? Jesus.
And so at least one player at the table, the DM, and I think really all players, can't just sit back and click on all these NPCs, trying to figure out where that fourth talking zombie is, sure in the knowledge he's around here somewhere. Nope. You got to make it all work. And these big adventures, it's just too much work. Everything I'm saying counts for players as well as DMs. Players get lost, burned out. Players want a sense of finishing something, not just a chapter, a whole adventure. Done. That's what small adventures get you. You can finish them. You feel like you did something. And you know what happens when everybody at the table finishes a short, fun adventure? They want to play again.
Wow, guess what happens when you finish a long fun adventure?
Yeah,
You want to play again.
Yeah.
I just, come on, man.
And again, I'll go back to the thing where you can just make, oh my God, sorry. And you can do that just by making it so you fucking have individual adventures in the big adventure.
Yeah. So
Actually, you know what? I think I've already said this before, but I'd like to say it now.
Sure.
So you guys already know this, but I don't know if the people I don't know if the people know this. And this very much applies. I'm writing a Call of Cthulhu campaign.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it. That's all I wanted to let you know. No. The way I'm doing it is there is an overarching / underarching plot where there are going to be somewhere in the range of like 20 to 24 individual adventures. And they are all completely unrelated to one another in terms of characters who are important in the adventure, but they are all linked by a single through line. Now, here's the thing. If you don't want to run the campaign, you remove the MacGuffin, and then you just have an adventure. Your characters will learn about A, they go there, they take care of it, and then they're done. Unless you are running the campaign, in which case they learn about the thing, they go there, they do it, they get the thing, and then they go back to home base to wait for the next adventure. Rinse and repeat.
Yeah.
It's gonna be fucking magic. The longest adventure I've got so far is about 47 pages.
There you go.
And that is because it is the most open one, and it adds a lot of modularity to it, where you can run this adventure 3 different ways.
There you go.
Damn.
So, if you want to run a campaign and still if you want your cake and to eat it too, you can do that with a campaign. It's not that hard.
Really
you just have to put a little bit of work into it.
Yeah, but that's too much work.
It's too much work to look at Curse of Strahd and be like, whoa, this is a cool location. Okay, to beat Strahd, you need this thing.
Yeah.
I think it's the Sun Sword, I think.
That's one of the things you can get.
And that's one of the ways.
Yep.
Yeah. You need the Sun Sword, or you might need the Sun Sword.
Yep.
So I'm going to have an adventure where they're like, hey, I know a way to kill Strahd. How do you do it? You go over here and you get the Sun Sword. And then once you have the Sun Sword, you need to find this other thing or something. I don't fucking know. I've never played Strahd.
Right.
That's fair.
Here's how you actually beat Strahd, Boo. You have the DMPC do it for you.
Fair, yes. That's a good way to do it. But yeah, so you can do that. It's not that hard.
No, it really
it's
isn't.
Not. Certainly not at your experience level, man.
Yeah, that's the other thing. I feel like if he's gonna do the thing at the end of say, well, why don't we just make the fucking thing like this and literally say what you just said, then I'm gonna be mad.
Yeah,
you know, because like
that is the case.
Because like it's just like okay, great, amazing. If I can, because like. It's like you said, it's not hard to just look at it in that modular kind of way. If you really want it to be like this, of like each adventure as the beginning, middle, and end, and you get the thing at the end so that you can continue on with the fucking adventure, you literally have already said that's how you used to do it with these old modular books.
Yeah.
Why can't you just transpose that of like each of these steps that you can take inside of this bigger book is basically that. And fucking it is basically that, just without the words. You know? It just is. There are these places that you go, there are encounters that you have there, and at the end of them you get whatever you get and then you keep going. That's just how adventures work. You know?
Yeah.
So
and you also can't tell me that if you're having these issues where your characters are where you have these long campaigns and it's taking a long time for the sessions to happen, you have a lot of time in between sessions to make each session be this one adventure and really make it count.
And take your fucking notes.
Yes.
Like, you have all this time.
And even if your gap in between sessions isn't enough where you can make something like and absolutely blow it out of the water, I have told my players before, like, hey guys, this weekend doesn't work too stellar for me. Let's delay a weekend. And then afterward I had like a bomb ass session because I had planned out for everything.
Yeah.
I get that
Crazy.
we have limited time on this fucking planet, okay? I get that taking that time might be a lot. I get that. I really do. But, like...
play with a non-shitty table that don't mind taking a week off.
Exactly. Like, there are ways to mitigate that very easily. So please
play with people who understand that we're all adults.
Yeah, exactly.
Small adventures are the opposite of big adventures. You can keep the plot straight. You can finish one in like 6 weeks. You feel amazing. You want to do another. When people talk about how frustrating it is that campaigns just fizzle out, I never really understood that, even though every campaign I have run has just fizzled out by any reasonable definition. So what? Well, now I realize what they mean is they never finished one of these. Yeah. Of course, that sucks. You got excited to play, you bought one of these, months later, you're not done, there's no end in sight, and sure, a lot of cool stuff happened, but you never got that final payoff, just a seemingly endless supply of mini-bosses. Whereas the campaigns I remember, yeah, we got burned out and we wanted to try something else, but that's because we were like 13th level and had played through maybe a dozen different adventures, not different chapters in one story, no, like a dozen different stories. I talked about this on Twitch, and at least one person was like, how does it even make sense? They couldn't figure out how the heroes got from one location to the other. What do you mean? They all happen around here somewhere. That's why your local area, remember that? That's why your local area has a forest over here, some mountains over here, which means some foothills over here, maybe a swamp over here. So that when you buy one of these, you just go, oh, it takes place in a swamp. No problem. I got one of those over here. Or you just stick a swamp somewhere nearby. I mean...
that is something I actually do a lot of. I look through other games or campaign modules from D&D, and I say, can I steal this tavern and put this just in a town? Can I steal this enemy? Boy, golly, this demon looks pretty cool.
Yep. That's fair.
I had to explain what episodic content is. Jesus. Thanks, Netflix. Thanks, True Detective. There are at least now some people who haven't had the experience of a show being a bunch of unrelated stories. I said,
oh, yeah, that's an interesting point. Yeah, because nowadays it's a lot more often that everything is interconnected because everything kind of has become
Marvel.
Yeah, everything has been Marvelized a little bit.
Yeah.
But a lot more often you had anthology shows and such, which I guess that does the cultural...
Supernatural.
Yeah, exactly. Like, legitimate.
Dude, I tried rewatching Supernatural from the beginning recently. Season 1 is fucking rough.
It is rough, but it is probably one of the most fun.
Yeah, no, it's still good.
Just because of like what they get to do with like all of the different things.
Yeah, no, don't get me wrong. I'm not like denying that it's
No.
fun. It's just like the writing is not good. There's an episode where there's this kid who watched their father drown in front of them.
Yeah.
And they're like 12 and were clinging to a buoy while watching their father take their last breaths.
Yeah.
And then Dean's acting all like, "Oh man, I know what it is to lose a parent." And I'm like, "Dean, you were in a crib."
But he's the main. He's one of the main characters.
All right, your mother fucking demonically floated and pinned herself against the ceiling while like a knife was in her stomach, and then her blood, which was seeping onto the ceiling, caught fire. All right.
Spoiler.
Yeah, okay.
That's only been
enough.
like
15
10
minutes
years or something.
Right.
However long.
It's not. But yeah, that's literally like the first thing in the show. It's so funny. But no, it was rough. But,
it does get better though, don't worry.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah.
I would say just finish off at like season 5 though.
Yeah,
that's definitely
I think so.
That's the best ending.
I
would say.
I really like. Now that I'm just thinking about it, I really love the episode where Dean becomes like a fraidy cat.
Yeah,
that's
dude.
like one of my favorite ones. That like
that
a door slams
funny.
and he's like, oh my heart.
He just does the scream.
It's so good.
That was scary.
I also
was really good.
I can't ever forget the quote of he sits on a memory foam bed and he says, "It remembers me." It's so funny to me every time.
Yeah, dude.
Anyway.
And then, dude, you've got the 4 horsemen. Holy shit.
Yeah, the 4 horsemen were fucking
the 4
sick.
horsemen were cool.
Absolutely.
Yeah, dude. Death. Ooh.
Death is my favorite, obviously. The
Yep.
foodie.
War
is also
War's
cool.
good.
Yeah, for sure.
And fucking famine was terrifying.
Mm-hmm. Famine was pretty creepy.
Good stuff.
Anyway.
Go watch Columbo. It's on YouTube.
Oh, Columbo's
Kids
great.
seem to love it. Each
Yo,
episode
really?
is a completely...
Yeah, Columbo is really good.
Really?
Yeah.
Like on you. That's cool.
Oh, it's on YouTube? Oh, fuck.
Yeah.
It's that old that it can be up there? Hell yeah.
It's fucking cool.
Yeah, I watch it through Prime Video, but yeah, legitimately, Columbo's great. Go watch Columbo, everybody.
Hey, speaking of Prime Video, the Fallout TV series is really good. Watch it.
I haven't watched it yet. Yeah, I hear
That's
good
what
things.
I've heard.
Yeah.
I am not a freak about like this game must be 1-to-1 with the video games, but apparently it's like pretty accurate.
Oh.
And the people who are big mad, it's because the canon interpretation of events is not the canon that they prefer.
Oh, well, who gives a fuck, right? It's an adaptation.
Yeah, apparently they were like slavish with their like accuracy to detail.
Awesome.
I cannot really comment about it because I've played about like 2 hours of Fallout 3 and that's about my extent with the franchise.
That's fair.
But it's a good show. It's fucking neat.
I think the saddest part about it, honestly, is just the fact that they changed the vault suit so that they don't have like a nice ass, like obvious.
No,
now it's just like a normal vault suit. That's lame.
No,
sure.
Yeah,
I want at least a little bit of eye candy in the fucking apocalypse. Otherwise, it's just fucking ghouls. It's just ghouls and fucking rat roaches.
The ghoul is the best character.
Oh, I know.
I haven't seen it yet, so I can't comment.
Yeah.
But yeah, I get you. Okay.
He's an old cowpoke.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen screens, so I'm excited to watch it at some point. Someday. We'll see. Anyway, go watch Columbo. Columbo's great.
Yeah.
Self-contained story, but the hero's always the same. I think a lot of y'all.
They even actually, it's interesting. Now that he's brought this up, Columbo even in episodes will reference past episodes. Like legitimately, he does. So,
Oh my God.
It's a whole thing. But like
Yeah.
everything is self-contained. Yeah, but it's interesting.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Especially those of you who came up in the hobby with running the game will be slightly baffled by how passionate I am about this. But I didn't know this is how people played. So I've always talked about seeding my campaigns, specifically a low-level campaign with a bunch of small adventures. So you already know small adventures are out there and how I use them. It may be, therefore, that this video doesn't get to its intended audience, the folks who think this is normal. But if you know someone like that, please send them this video.
No.
That feeling.
No.
Like you finished something, like you accomplished something. You beat the villain. You stopped the nefarious plan. You met some cool NPCs. You explored some cool new places. You got some dope loot, and you got XP. Maybe you leveled up. That feels really good. As soon as you're done, you want to do it again. That other feeling, like you don't even know why you're doing this anymore, that is a bad feeling. People end up doing a lot
For you.
but they do not.
but it's also like, sure, it is a bad feeling to not know what you're doing, but like it's a preventable one. So
Yeah, that's a skill
easily
issue.
preventable. Yes. Skill
Yeah,
issue.
and I also find it so funny that like it's this thought that you can't have that in a campaign.
Yeah, the weird part to me overall is just the refusal to even give a glimmer so far in 14 minutes of his 17-minute video that you can just turn these longer ones into that.
Yeah.
Like, I just don't, because that's the first thing that you can really think of when you compare the two immediately.
Mhm.
So it's like, okay.
Yeah.
feel like they accomplished anything. It starts to feel disassociative, like your actions have nothing to do with the outcomes. Well, you run short adventures, the opposite happens. I feel like that's the entire video. This should be normal.
But you have more.
This
but
should
like
be
the
rare.
short adventures are all related to the big adventure.
Yeah.
Sure,
Yeah.
sometimes you take some time off to deal with stands at a bathhouse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And that's okay. Sometimes you're doing a boss rush of all of Kozayamu's children.
That's right.
Yeah. The leader of the stands is fucking Nickelback because
right.
it's all named after bands and music, and I thought, what's the best band to put in hell? Nickelback. Not because I dislike Nickelback, it's the joke.
It's just the joke. I get you. That's fine.
Yeah.
Well, I can't wave a magic wand and make that happen. When I got started in the hobby, you got all your products at your local game store. Maybe the local bookstore had some of the D&D hardcovers, but otherwise, it was the local game store.
This is the weirdest back in my day video that I've ever heard.
Yeah, this is very boomerish.
Like, it's very strange, this.
Yeah.
War is good. Prince Boo 21, 2024. That's right.
What? Wait, when did I say that?
You said that when Aiden was like, I really like war, and you said, yeah, war is good.
Oh, yeah.
It was great. Oh.
Mm-hmm.
And back then, game stores had racks or bins filled with adventures like this. I wish I could give you and your friends that experience. You all pile in the car, drive to the local game store, and you sift through all these amazing little episodes of fantasy heroism, looking for the perfect one, the right level, the right environment. And of course, there is no such thing as the perfect one, so you just went with the coolest one and you made it work.
Okay, so let me, if you don't say it in this video, because I'm feeling like you won't, you can maybe, like, I don't know, point to Drive-Thru-RPG or any of these other sites to get people more aware of these things that they can do for this, because there's stuff down, like, in there that's free, as well as $5, as well as, and it's all these indie creators that you were just talking about before, about the OGL, and how 3.5 had all these other modules that other people created for D&D. It would fit perfectly.
If he doesn't, hoo boy.
He's not going to.
Each adventure basically got its own marketing campaign. That's what the cover was for, and the blurb on the back. That was a very healthy product ecology. We don't have that anymore, and I can't bring it back. It is beyond my power. However, we do have
it isn't.
this thing.
Oh,
It's
hey,
completely
hey,
not.
we got it. Sorry.
Okay, good.
Yes.
He is able. Has he not produced adventures before? I could have sworn he's made D&D.
He's talking about making Wizards of the Coast do it again.
Oh,
Yeah,
oh,
yeah.
okay. I was
Which,
about to say, like,
to be
ooh.
fair, you and everyone else could do that with your dollar because that's how it works.
Yeah, like, come on now.
But, you know.
I know that you're able to produce content, and you could do that.
But, like, at least he's going into this. Okay, thank God.
Yes, thank God.
Fucking hell.
This is the best I can do. This is a website called adventurelookup.com. I do
That
not
works.
own or run this. I have no affiliation with it other than it was my idea. Back when this channel was exploding, I said, there are thousands of professionally developed D&D adventures out there, and there are hundreds of
I have
official
nothing to do with this company except for I am its CEO.
Yeah, really?
Yeah, what the fuck?
I don't know. Maybe he's going into the thing of like how it's not actually his, but he gave it as an idea to somebody else. I don't know. We'll see.
Probably. It's
Yeah.
just a funny sentence.
It really is.
Yeah.
adventures. And even a really old adventure, if it's good, it's still fun. There
Yes.
should be an easy way to find an adventure that fits your needs. I outlined how such a website might work, and a bunch of folks went and made
There
it.
you go.
And here it is.
Okay.
You can plug in whatever criteria you want. You want a first level adventure featuring kobolds in a temple? You can do that.
That's really
You
cool.
can set tons of criteria, more than you need.
This
I
is
remember thinking it would be
very
cool if
neat.
you could filter adventures based on what treasure was in there, like which magic items. Well, that requires a lot of volunteers cataloging all that info, and it is not all equally useful. But we tried it. Now, I do not run this site. I don't have anything to do with it. I remember at one point someone saw how popular it was, and they wrote like 1,000 one-page adventures to try to game the system, drive traffic to their content. So there may be a lot of junk in here, but I have used it, and it worked for me. It's how I found the adventure we used for our level 21 shot.
Cool.
I get nothing from promoting this other than the hope that some people will realize there is a better way. I love big adventures, Red Hand of Doom, Night Below, but I ran those back when my friends and I played at least once a week and reliably once a week. The hobby has changed, man, and folks need shorter adventures. Believe me. Anyway, thanks for watching,
don't.
folks. That's it. Just a new rant from Uncle Matt. It's been a while since we had a new video, so let's have a live stream this Friday, just to hang out here
Well,
on
this is an
YouTube
old
at
video,
11
don't worry
a.m.
about it.
Pacific time this Friday. Talk about whatever's on your mind. Still got lots of ideas for more videos, folks. So we're just heads down right now on our new RPG. We are building from scratch. You can follow
this
progress
is
of the
back
game on
before
our
that.
second channel,
Neat.
link in the doobly-doo. Until next time,
Oh
folks.
my God.
Wow.
Peace out.
What a thing.
He's fucking said it.
He did.
Mark your bingo cards, my guys.
Dude, believe me. No, we took that off.
I know.
Damn. Matt Colville is like always such a treat.
Yeah.
Not this time.
Weird.
Yeah.
Now, again, I agree that I feel like the Wizards of the Coast should release smaller adventures, sure. Make that more healthy content ecology, as he put it, from the ones who are actually releasing the official content. Absolutely, that would be cool. They won't. But it's nice to dream, I guess. But I am at least glad that you had that little thing for that site so that you can see that it is possible to go out there and find what you want for those smaller adventures. I just wish you said it in a better video.
Yeah.
Because that came in like 15 minutes in.
Yeah.
And before that, I would have been like, no, and probably stopped watching your video.
Yeah.
Because I don't understand why you made this in such a way that didn't seem like you were trying to fix the problem. You even say in your video here that you like to not use the word bad, and you like to say this is why people do it, and here's how we can do it differently. And then you don't even do that to this issue that you see, because
I don't like calling things bad, so I will call this entire play style bad.
Exactly. And like, again, easily enough you could have done what we suggested of saying, instead of having it be a big long thing, turn it into the modular stuff. It's a little bit more work, which it seems to be something you're averse to in long books now. But you could at least, I don't know, plant the seed that could make people go, oh, but it's worth my time to do that. Because then I could finish this game that I'm having trouble finishing. Because I keep doing this in such a way that isn't working. So there has to be something that I can do to change how this works, you know? So, I don't know, suggest a better solution than just avoid them. Because I don't recommend avoiding Curse of Strahd or any of these games that are the big fucking adventure games.
Yeah, it's so popular and eponymous for a reason.
Yeah, exactly. And, like, even if you don't like all the stuff in there, you can just take out the bits that you do like and get inspired from those in any of these adventures. So, I don't know, man. Fucking bad.
Yeah, it's not good.
Very strange that it would be a bad. But that's the videos today.
Yep.
One that was very, very good from Super Geek Mike. I will again promote that again. Everything is in the description, of course. And I'll get the link to that site that he was talking about in that video and put it in the description as well. For the VOD. So that'll be a thing. But yeah, I'm very disappointed in that showing from Matthew Coville. But again,
never thought I'd see the day.
Yeah, can't all be home runs, I guess, as you said.
Yeah.
So of the two videos, Coville had the bad take. Proof that Viridia is not the respecter of persons. True. I give my ideas out a lot, so I can't say anything. So do we. It's cool.
It's kind of the whole basis of this podcast.
A little bit, yeah. Anyway, so that's the stuff. Let's move on to reading comments and such. In which case, I will, of course, offer the ability for you to leave if you wish. My two compatriots.
Oh.
I will be.
Okay.
Although one thing I wanted to ask you, Alejo, would you be down to try out a quick little test game of one-page rules after this, or are you tired?
Not after this, but tomorrow wouldn't work either because
tomorrow we're gonna try to do that.
Well,
stuff,
that might not take that long. To be fair, it's just character creation, so it probably may take an hour or two, and we can do it after that.
Okay.
Yeah, that'll work.
Because I'd love to get a feel for that.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, we can do that tomorrow for sure.
Well, good podcast. Weird that Colville had the bad video, and you should definitely take a look at that thing that I posted for your orcs, because it could be the coolest fucking battle wagon ever.
Ooh, okay. I've left it unread for a reason, and now I'm very excited to read it later. Okay, cool.
All right.
See ya.
All right. Have a good one. Discord, where are you? There you are. Goodbye.
There was less of a preamble there for him. All right. Let's go. Comment time. So. There it is. Here we go. So. We have 3 comments to look at. Woohoo! First off, on the Lethal Company stream we did, the Anomalous Activities one. Good old Shin says, this game is called Lethal Company because you're meant to be violent. You should always be violent in video games. If you're not violent in Undertale, you'll get the pacifist ending, which means you won't kill God, and that is not how you win a JRPG. True. Hell, if you do the neutral one, you still kill God. Kind of, I think. Don't you? I don't know. Anyway, you kill a thing. Anyway, whatever. Thank you for the comment. And on last week's episode, the worst character mistake and creating awesome improv, Timothy comes to us with lore, it looks like. Hello, bros. Hello. New lore. The Log of Alabaster, Entry 10. The streets were packed with people as we walked to the tournament. I wondered what it would be like to reunite with Cyrus and Veronica. I managed to spend a year living in Moorworth without needing to see them. But a person can't avoid something forever. As we got to the front gate, Star Ruby entered through the gladiator's door. Star Ruby. Wish me luck, boss. Leroy. Very best of luck indeed. But more importantly, don't die. Galvin, kick ass, big guy. Right after we saw Star Ruby off to battle, huge amounts of cheering came from behind us. I looked over to see a mass of bright pink scales. Galvin, whoa, that's Cornell, I bet. Massimo, quite impressive. Cornell was covered in gold and gems. People were stepping over each other to get closer to him. At first I didn't see a crown until I realized he was wearing the crown on his finger as a ring. I like that actually as a detail. When I looked up, I saw my sister Veronica riding on Cornell's back almost like a throne. Instead of a queen's dress, she had a set of fine leather pants and a shirt, with a crest of a pink moon and a rose on top, which most likely was the mark of the Moon Valley Kingdom. Veronica quickly locked eyes with me. She said something to Cornell, and they started coming toward us. Before I knew it, my draconic brother-in-law was towering over me. Veronica, little brother, it's been ages. You look well. Leroy, time has been good to you, sister. You've spent that wisely. Veronica, have you met my husband? Leroy, it's my pleasure, holding out my hand. Cornell, the pleasure is mine, shaking my hand. Leroy, these are some of my party members, Galvin the Tabaxi, and Massimo the Jester. Cornell, rather tiny for a personal guard, don't you think? Leroy, that's not their purpose. That is my ogre henchman's job, mostly. His name is Star Ruby. Cornell, I don't see an ogre anywhere. Leroy, you will get to see him fight later. Cornell, oh, wonderful. I can't wait to see it. Massimo, if you don't mind me asking, Your Highness, doesn't anyone look small compared to you? Those words came out of Massimo's mouth so fast I couldn't stop him. Of all the times for Massimo to remember he is a jester. But to my relief, Cornell laughed. Cornell, not bad, Jester, not bad. Here, have a lunch on me. Reaching into a hip bag he was wearing and pulling out a big jar of blood, placing it in Massimo's hands. Massimo, thank you so much, Your Highness. Cornell, take it as a token of friendship. It's some leftover green dragon blood from one my queen and I killed when we got home from our honeymoon at the start of the year. The scum tried to take over part of our land when we were away. Veronica, you look so strong in that battle, my dear. Cornell, I paled in comparison to how beautiful you looked, cutting that green rat's head off, my love. As the two kissed. Veronica, well, enough said. Enough small talk. Time to get ready. Cornell, indeed. Let's unpack my weapon, shall we? Opening a large case showing a shining battle axe with rose gold inlaid on the handle, and a razor-sharp silver blade slinging it over his shoulder, ducking under the archway as he went in. Veronica, enjoy the show, little brother. If you see Cyrus before I do, say hello for me. Leroy, same to you, sister. She then started climbing to her balcony seat. Galvin, damn, I wish I could get free food for calling someone fat. Leroy, you and me both. Let's find seats. That's all I got. The tournament starts next time. Have a nice day. Thank you. Neato little interaction, as always. No, I always have such life-sustaining messages to share. I hope that whenever anyone reads one of my comments, they will be reminded of the need to think of a happy place. To live is to suffer, and I hate to see anyone not living life to the fullest. True. And of course, on that same post, or on that same episode, yes, we've got good old Shin saying, I meant to get this to this part of the lore later, but Viridi was having an emotional crisis all week about the destruction of humanity maybe not being the best thing she could have attempted, which apparently means she needs to try to be better at something. Personally, I don't see how it really matters one way or the other, since humans are already building Skynet anyway. I try to encourage her not to give up on her dreams, but she has this tendency to get upset sometimes. I guess that's nature for you. Though, to be fair, it is unfortunate that Nintendo's terrible marketing caused her official character arc to be cut short before she was able to complete the Tsundere's journey the way Shadow and Mewtwo did. So I suppose it's a good thing my headcanon is fully armed and operational. In any case, here's what I was able to come up with for a post. Oh, also, she wanted me to mention that the Japanese version of her name, Nature, is pronounced Nature. Ah. Re as in do, re, mi, to be clear. It's still just a transliteration of nature, but nature is an English word, and as I have recently been informed, Japanese people actually speak a language called Japanese, while technically they call it Nihongo. True. Nature, I get you. Glad the crown ring went well. Yes. Planetary survey record. Ducal Starfleet Ganaroth. Date corrupted. Survey of moon Trislon 4A. Despite existing comfortably within Trislon's habitable zone, possessing sufficient mass to retain an atmosphere and being home to a large ocean, Trislon 4A was found utterly devoid of organic life. Mineral veins are plentiful, but atmospheric turbulence will make the construction and maintenance of permanent surface structures difficult. Strangely, survey teams found that the ever-present storms overhead would grow increasingly violent the longer they remained in any given area, becoming especially agitated any time large machines were assembled or brought down from science vessel Cradia in orbit. Furthermore, temperatures at the surface are much colder than should be expected. As a result, colonization to any degree is not recommended with current technology. Surprisingly, the clear remains of artificial structures were found in a number of locations across the planet, with the most advanced of these located on the southern continent and having reached a stage of technological development commonly referred to as a Bronze Age. Near one of these settlements, a structure was discovered that did not match the local architectural style, but more closely resembled a traditional Dragatoan cenotaph, with elements apparently derived from the old ruins of Argondis. Within the cenotaph, a manuscript was found describing what appears to be some sort of religious myth, written in a language not too dissimilar from our own. The story, as written, follows. Oh, we have a story within a story. Lore within lore. My god. With the 4 masteries, Entropy went under the earth and came to the bone house. Before her, 4 doors barred the way. From behind the doors, Spider Tamuna called, "Who dares come down to the bone house?" Entropy said, "I am Entropy. I come to take a soul. Open these doors or I will destroy them." Spider Tamuna said, "Your evil is known to me, and I do not doubt you. Moreover, what is promised in the bone house will be upheld. Therefore, if you gave me the earth mastery, I will open the first door." And so, Entropy gave up the earth mastery, and it went to Spider Tamuna. Spider Tamuna said, "I will curse the earth spirit so the land will not give life. All the leaves and all the grass will turn brown, and the fields will die." Upon the surface of the world, this came to pass. Going to the second door, Entropy said, "I am Entropy. I come to take a soul. Open these doors, or I will destroy them." Spider Tamuna said, "Your evil is known to me, and I do not doubt you. Moreover, what is promised in the bone house will be upheld. Therefore, if you give me the fire mastery, I will open the second door." And so Entropy gave up the fire mastery, and it went to Spider Tamuna. Spider Tamuna said, "I will curse the fire spirit so that warmth will leave the world. The sun will be made dim, fire will give no heat, and all will be as cold as the grave." Upon the surface of the world, this came to pass. Going to the third door, Entropy said, "I am Entropy. I come to take a soul. Open these doors, or I will destroy them." Spider Tamuna said, "Your evil is known to me, and I do not doubt you. Moreover, what is promised in the bone house will be upheld. Therefore, if you give me the water mastery, I will open the third door." And so Entropy gave up the water mastery, and it went to Spider Tamuna. Spider Tamuna said, "I will curse the water spirit so that the oceans will roil with fury. Waves will dash every ship, whirlpools will suck them down, and every fisherman will perish." Upon the surface of the world, this came to pass. Going to the fourth door, Entropy said, "I am Entropy. I come to take a soul. Open these doors, or I will destroy them." Spider Tamuna said, "Your evil is known to me, and I do not doubt you. Moreover, what is promised in the bone house will be upheld. Therefore, if you give me the air mastery, I will open the last door." And so Entropy gave up the air mastery, and it went to Spider Tamuna. Spider Tamuna said, I will curse the air spirit so that the skies will rage. Winds will blow down the cities. Lightning will strike the ground relentlessly, and gales will carry off all who walk on the land. Upon the surface of the world, this came to pass. Going into the bone house, Entropy came to the urn of Selvara, but Spider Tamuna came upon her. Spider Tamuna said, You have given me the 4 masteries and are now without power. I will wrap you up and put you in my larder. Entropy said, I am not without power, for I have not given you the 5th mastery, which is greater than all the others. Spider Tamuna said, I know of the 5th mastery, and you cannot possess it. Love is a thing that no demon can have. Entropy said, This is not so. The power of destruction cannot exist without love. Hate and wrath are the children of love, for they come when a threat is perceived to that which a person loves. The destructive spirit comes of a desire to possess and protect a loved thing. The ultimate force of destruction is love. Saying that, Entropy turned and struck Spider Tamuna with the 5th mastery, and Spider Tamuna went into darkness. Entropy regained the 4 masteries, took the urn of Selvara, and left the world. Command from Duke Jack Randar of Selgath. Whatever has caused these planetary conditions, the manuscript is clearly the work of some heretical cult that must have visited this world before us. We should not allow public disorder to come of this. Suppress this information and restrict all travel within 1 light year of the Trislon star. There you go. Thank you for that. That was very neat. I like the story, the little lore within the lore. I tried my best to mimic an old school jester way of telling jokes. Lots of jesters roasted their rulers in ways they didn't notice. That's fair. That is true, and good inspiration. In Viridi's name, I declare the Alejo Holy Saint of Patience. Thank you. I appreciate that. That's it for comments. Unless I'm missing any, which I don't believe I am, but I will check on over here. Nope, we're good. All right. So thank you so much for all of the comments, of course, and thank you once again for hanging out with us. We have lovely support from viewers like you who subscribe and like and comment and all of that, and continue, please, to do that if you would. It's awesome. And if you would like to go a step above and beyond, you can, of course, join the Patreon. Link in the description. TableTalk DND is what you need to search. Or go over to the Ko-fi and become a flipper over there. Both are absolutely valid. And they both have the absolute same perks. So if you want to submit stuff for the upcoming campaign, for the Vampire the Masquerade campaign that's happening soon enough, not immediately, but soon enough, become a table flipper, and you can join the Discord and do it there, or you can do it, I guess you can send a message to me over Patreon or Ko-fi. So, do that if you want to, for as little as $1 a month, and you could be one of these people. That being said, thank you to Draco Kraken, Rick, aka Unit Rico, Steely, and yeah, thank you to all 3 of you for being part of the tier 4, and doing the thing. Appreciate it a bunch, of course. Big thanks. And then a thank you to Crimson Rose Armok, aka Shin, for the $5 every month for that tier 2. And of course, a thank you to our tier 1 contributors. Again, if you want to be as little as $1 a month, don't worry about it. If you don't want to give any money, don't even worry about that at all. Up to you. It is your money to do with as you see fit. You have that financial freedom. I believe in you. so use it wisely. And we might not be the wisest choice. Who knows? Ko-fi as well, you can do a one-time donation, which if you do so, and you put in a message of the character, it can be as little as $1. It's fine. Don't worry about this. This is just the, like, oh, give $5 thing. It can be as little as $1 if you want. If you give a message with your donation for a character, I will take that. So, yeah, that's another way. Of course, going over to TeePublic, you can visit our thing. I haven't updated this in forever, have I? This banner thing. I have the new banner. I could do that right now. And you can get our logo on whatever you want through there. The mugs and the sweatshirt. That's what, or sorry, hoodie. Those are things that I highly recommend. And yeah, I mean, there's a bunch of stuff there. It goes on sale every now and then, so if you don't want to pay full price, hey, go for it on a sale. And then, of course, going over to our website, link in the description as well. Everything is in the description. You can find all the things that I've just talked about, as well as things that I will talk about, as well as find our custom dice here. I wasn't able to fix this recently, the site. So it was actually like, it had the old, it had 174 here and like 59 here as the things, and this doesn't work for some reason, so that's pretty cool. But now I figured out how to actually edit this site again, so I can actually fix things again, so that's good. But yeah, our dice are there. You can get a set, and I will send them to you personally. And last but not least, of course, if you use the link in our description to go over to Humble Bundle, anything you buy through Humble Bundle, whether it be the choice, the actual bundles, or through the store, anything like that, you can support us as well as Tabletop Alliance, who's also linked in the description, so you can find out about their charity works that they do with tabletop items and such. I would recommend at this point Fungeon Crawler, because that sounds neat. What the hell is this? Oh, okay. That's neat. It's a bunch of dungeon crawler games. That's cool. Oh yeah, Going Under. Going Under is real fun. I like that. As well as, let's see, is it still here? Oh, The Witcher and Cyberpunk comics as well. Hold on. Is it still, do we still have an RPG bundle here? An actual ttrpg bundle? The Fallout one is here, which I would recommend, of course. Interestingly enough, this was something that I wanted to bring up. Actually, I forgot about it. But, I've seen a lot of Fallout things that are not to do with the Fallout RPG, or things that have been inspired because the show exists. So, I don't know. But regardless, hey, Fallout RPG is here if you want to play Fallout, and get a bunch of stuff so that you can 3D print as well. So, yeah, play Fallout the TTRPG. I've heard very good things. So, yeah, it's there. But yeah, link in the description, as always. And once again, big thank you to everybody for sticking around and watching the show. And, we'll see you next week for more stuff, and hopefully during the week for some more gaming streams. Because my Hell Week is over, and I've gotten my certification that I was staying over, doing overtime at work for, so I will have more time to come home at a reasonable time and actually do stuff. So anyway, go on, get out of here. Thank you so much, and goodbye.